TikTok, time to rock. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone who's watching from all over the world. For everyone who's saying that the Apostate prophet made us late, no. This was the site that I normally bring up to bring up Quran passages is currently down. So I was looking for alternatives, and then I just decided that I would not bring up a bunch of Quran passages to refute the TikTok Dawah. So we're just going to have to do it from memory.
Shame on you.
Ow.
Shame.
Uh-oh. We've already got it. Dee Dee points out, why is everyone stuttering? I don't know. Because we're all nervous about the power of TikTok Dawah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
We're here with a professional coward who ran away from Hakikachu by agreeing to debate him recently.
Which one is that?
Very clearly, right here in the middle. He ran away by agreeing to debate him. I saw it with my own eyes.
Did you run from Daniel Hakikachu?
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Okay. Well, who wouldn't?
No, what we are talking about, what is apparently he is being talked about is...
Hang on. I think an 11-month-old would have to crawl away from him pretty quickly, but go ahead.
I don't want to comment on that any further. It's already terrible enough. But no, what happened is that Daniel Hakikachu challenged me to a debate on Twitter and said, I challenged Zionist Jews, but they all refuse because they're scared. So I now challenge this Zionist rat apostate prophet to debate me on the topic Islam versus Judaism. Which one is responsible for the Israel-Palestine conflict? It must be this Friday, conditions this, and that. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Well, he certainly knows how to sweet talk someone into accepting his offer.
Yeah.
But seriously, what planet are these guys from? I challenge this stupid, idiot, moron, loser to face me, and here are all the rules. 1, it will be at this day. This will be the time. I establish the rules. I make the rules. Everyone listen to me. I'm the boss. You're my Dimmy. Now, do you accept or not?
Anyway, at first I decided to ignore it. Because it was just dumb, but then I felt a little bit humorous, so I started making fun of it and said, "Hey, there are lots of Jews. They are accepting a challenge. Why don't you go debate them? And what kind of a pathetic topic is this anyway?" And but then I texted James and I said, "Hey, James, did you see Daniel is challenging me to a debate this Friday?" He said, "Yes, I can host it if you want to." I said, "I accept." I said, "Tell him I accept under the condition that we will also debate, is Islam true, on the same day." And 10 minutes later, James said he's not interested.
Isn't that? And if I recall correctly, I accepted too, because you said that I was like the afterthought. If nothing else worked out, then he would debate me. Yeah. And I said the same thing. I said, okay, first, we'll debate 2 topics. This dumb topic. Because notice, because one of his fans will say, "Oh no, you have to accept it as you cannot." You cannot offer any counter challenge or additional challenge or something. You can only accept his challenge and his demands, and you just keep your mouth shut. Again, like we're dimmies. But notice, he wants to debate a topic that we aren't terribly interested in debating him on. We're not interested in debating him on that. We don't think this guy's a terribly important person to engage on topics like this. Child marriage, we want this is the guy. This is the go-to guy. Something like this. Why would I care? But notice we're still willing. Okay, yeah, we'll take that, but you've got to make it interesting for us. So here's a topic that's interesting to us. No go. Isn't that interesting? Like that should be the go topic, guys. Muslims of the world, da'is of the world.
Unite.
If you show that Muhammad is a prophet or that Islam is true, you win. It's ball game. You win all the other debates. It's done. You win. Game over. And you won't go near it.
Nope.
They are under the impression that they are so important that we must feel like happy and lucky that they, want to debate something with us. It's so stupid. And people told me, you missed your chance. You offered a debate. I didn't miss a chance. I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah, there was a couple Muslims doing that to me like 1 or 2 months ago. I remember, and I just looked at my phone, pop, and then like moved on. Like, you gotta set up a debate. Message to me like an adult. I'm actually preparing for a debate right now that's not been publicly announced, so I won't say it because a pretty big Muslim channel emailed me and said, "Hey, we'd like to debate you on this topic early in 2024." I'm like, "Sure, I'd love to do that." So we We figured out the title, what we want to call it, and then we structured it, and now I'm just waiting for them to announce it. So yeah, I'm excited about that. So I mean, like, yeah, do that, sure. But when they do these Twitter like chest thumping nonsense, I just all right, this ain't worth my time. Moving on.
And his language was also, I'm now scraping the bottom of the barrel and challenging the Zionist rat apostate. Get out of here, man.
Yeah, it's pretty funny that I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel and taking time out of my busy schedule defending pedophilia to engage with some real lowlifes. What is wrong with this guy?
Man.
All right, so tonight we are checking out some TikTok Dawah.
Drama.
I did not watch this first clip from a Christian that we're about to watch. I couldn't get access to it, so IP sent it to me separately.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a Christian video. I have not watched it. AP hasn't seen it. I haven't seen it, so we're going to get this for the first time.
Let me give you the backstory.
Oh, yeah,
you can get those slides up in a minute. So this was actually a pretty big drama. A friend of mine on TikTok, name is Jordan. His handle, I believe, is Go With Jordan. Pretty cool guy. Bonafide Christian. Announced back in August that he was, during the month of September, he was going to read through the Quran. And his video blew up. And so, like, he got, like, I think some 7 million views on that. And so many comments from Muslims saying things like, you're going to convert. You're going to convert. And Jordan is like, I told you I'm reading it so I can better understand what Muslims believe and better understand their position. I'm not reading it because I'm going to convert. He told them ahead of time this wasn't going to happen. Yet his comments still filled up with, if you want to put up the first slide, you can put it up. Put up the slides of what these are the type of comments that were on his videos when he was announcing he's going to read the Quran. Brother, you will be in October 1st saying his Shahada, Inshallah, you'll be one brother. Welcome indeed. Welcome to Islam, brother.
I cannot wait.
Like 5,000 likes.
Wow. Brother will be in October 1st saying his Shahada. Inshallah, you'll be one brother. Welcome indeed. Wow. So this is some...
I will offer my 9-year-old daughter to you.
Yes. Yes. And you can marry my mother in paradise if you convert.
But you can see, I have some of his comments are up there. Like someone saying, you need to purify yourself before touching it, like in the top corner. Jordan said, heck no, it's not a holy book to me. So he's telling them flat out, like, he's not going to convert. And they don't care. They're like, new Muslim. And
Muslim. Wow. Powerful stuff.
So then go to the next slide.
It says 1 month later.
He read the Quran, and then he announced after he didn't convert. And then here were the comments on those videos that he said that he did not convert after reading the Quran.
Wait, so just to recap, not long ago, he says, hey, I'm going to read the entire Quran, and Muslims are extremely enthusiastic. Haha, you're going to be a Muslim. Oh, you're going to see its power. Oh, this is so great. Oh, it's so wonderful. Oh, if you read the Quran, you're going to be so impressed by the literary miracles and the scientific miracles and all the miracles, and it's going to blow your mind out the back of your Christian skull, and you're going to bow down and recite the Shahada. That was the position. And then he actually read the Quran and posted a response. We're going to watch the response, but then he gets these kinds of responses.
Not the eyes are blind, but his heart is. Like
his
things like
heart
this.
is blind.
Because of the leather strap.
Oh, Allah doesn't like you that much. It's not the eyes that are blind, it's the heart. His heart is blind.
Jordan will not be getting his strap-on pleasure machine in Jahannam now because he obviously didn't convert. So, tis a shame. Yeah, but you can see there a lot of like dismissal. He didn't actually. One comment on here is like he didn't actually even read it. He's calling him a liar. Bro, you're actually lying. You didn't read the Quran. If you actually did, you would know deep down it's not man-written, nor Jesus is the Lord. Jordan replies, I read it. Jesus is Lord. He's even Muhammad's Lord. So it's like... Yeah, so they said he was going to convert. He didn't convert, and they immediately jumped to ad hoc reasoning. And I was laughing this whole time.
Notice,
I was
guys,
enjoying the hell out of this.
Yeah, notice there are obviously there are situations where you want to say that someone has to be looking at something honestly, right? So in other words, someone can say, "Hey, give me evidence that the Earth is round," and then they just reject all evidence. And Arun Ra and I were talking about this briefly, but if someone says, hey, I believe the earth is flat, show me evidence that the earth is round. And so you start doing things and giving pictures and things like that. And they're like, no, this is no evidence. This is no evidence at all. And so on. There could come a point where you say, okay, I don't think you're actually being open to the evidence. I don't think this is a good faith discussion. So that you have to be, you have to be aware of someone who's just stubbornly resisting the evidence, like all atheists do when it comes to the existence of God. But at the same, but at the same time, notice anyone can do what the Muslims do right there. Oh yeah, read this and you'll see that it's clearly true. Okay, well I've read it and I don't see that it's that's because you're stubborn and hard-hearted. Okay, you could say that with anything. Notice a flat earther could say, hey, look at my evidence for the flat earth. And you're going to see 100%. This is so clearly true. You're going to be blown away. And you look at it and say, no, I think it's round. It's because you're biased and you're hard-hearted and you're stubborn and you're not seriously examining the evidence. You could do that with absolutely any position ever. You can just, anyway. So the fact that this is their only response, notice, I don't know what he was actually claiming in his video, but we're about to see. But, I don't know. Why aren't they correcting him and giving them the arguments? But
because he's not worth it.
We're going to see.
He will. He actually told me he had to stop DMs on Instagram because so many Muslims were like messaging him, trying to debate with him. And so it's like he made the video we're about to watch like friends only because he was just getting harassed so much. So like he's like, look, I'm not convinced. I'm going to move back on to defending Christianity.
Hey, and, just let him. Just let him. Let them respond to him and tell him to say, hey, happy to have this discussion with you. Join me and the Apostate Prophet and Inspiring Philosophy live. And we'll have a big discussion. We'll all have a big discussion about this, and you can bring your arguments and your evidence. Because whenever we ask the Dawah guys to join us and give their evidence, they don't want to. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird that like when you're saying, hey, let's actually closely examine the passages you guys use to show that Muhammad's a true prophet. Let's actually take a look at this evidence. No. We don't want to do that. Well, who do you try to reach? Bunch of people who don't know anything on TikTok.
Yeah.
We do not want to interact with anyone who actually knows what the arguments are. We only want to interact with people who have no clue what we're talking about. That kind of tells you about Dawah. They're looking for an atmosphere of ignorance so that people don't know when they're being bamboozled.
That's smart. That way they win. It's good.
Wait, AP, did you talk about whoops. Giovanni says, David, debate me. Subject, should everyone have minority sects in our countries?
I forgot about that.
IP, I think you missed it.
IP doesn't know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Nope.
I kept talking about minority sex, and AP would just keep laughing like a little kid. Because I'm talking about minority sex, and he thinks I'm talking about minorities having sex. Like that's where his atheist mind goes. He can't be pure minded. Can't be pure minded for even 5 seconds. Hey, AP, did you talk about geography in a live stream?
Did I talk about geography?
Good geography today?
Oh, no. I did a live stream earlier this morning talking about the history of the Palestinian leaders and Hitler. And at the end of the live stream, I decided to take some geography map quiz stuff live.
Oh, wow.
And it was very good, except for Africa. I was horrible. I couldn't guess anything. So that's what.
Gonna take a look to drag me away from you. Remember that?
What a horrible song. I don't like that song at all. It's like, I don't know why that song is popular. It's like one of the worst popular songs.
What the heck is wrong? Okay, we normally agree on lots of things, but here, yeah, you've been poisoned by the German music. Deutschland, über alles. Someone sings about Africa, and instantly you get racist.
That's how it is.
No one says, "Hey, Jesus loves you, AP."
Oh, thanks.
And let's see. Quran story time. Opening the book exposes the evil. Yeah, that's what our friend Jordan apparently found. But we're about to get his.
Oh boy.
And of course, Knows Too Much says, "Do you have any informative video on Shia hadiths?" No. You have to check that out. I've got the Shia hadiths. I've looked up particular hadiths in the past, but just based on numbers, I've never spent a lot of time. So, you'd have to find someone who actually deals specifically with Shia Islam and studies that sort of thing. But two, any of you guys who are interested in apologetics dealing with Islam and you want to figure out what you want to do, there is a shortage of people dealing with Shia Islam, so you might want to check that out.
Wait. What is that? What is that super chat? It says, Muslim metaphysician lost his mind on today's video. What happened?
Did he? I don't know. I've never. I'm trying to think if I've ever watched one of his videos. I've seen.
I haven't.
I saw him on the
PBD.
I saw him on the PBD podcast. Yeah, I don't know.
Such a crazy and boring guy.
Is he?
I'm really curious now.
He fits right in. He's got a good career in Dawah ahead of him. He thumps his chest and speaks in a condescending tone, and that's apparently all that's required for success in Dawah. All right, we ready to check out Jordan's video here?
Yeah, this is him after he finished reading the Quran. This is what he has to say.
So he announced a while back that he's going to read the Quran. Then he finished reading the Quran, and then he posted this video. That's what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Got it.
I just read the entire Quran.
And again, if you're just tuning in, me and AP have not seen this yet.
Wait, is that's the wrong video? You put up the wrong one.
Oh, yeah?
That's the guy we're going to be responding to. So after Jordan put this video up, this next video is a Muslim responding to him, just appalled that he didn't convert after reading the powerful poetry from the Quran.
Hang on.
I just read the entire Quran as a Christian.
There we go.
And I'm going to give my...
Okay, so this is the correct one.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So this is Jordan. And you said his name's what? What's his channel? Go with Jordan? Go with Jordan. Okay. I'll put a link to his channel here afterwards. All right, everyone ready? Everyone ready to have your minds blown by this guy seeing the powerful evidence for the miraculous inspiration of the Quran?
Oh, yeah.
Here we go. Everyone, be prepared to convert to Al-Islam. Here we go.
Yeah.
I just read the entire Quran as a Christian.
And you know it because he's got the tabs right there. Pow.
And I'm going to give my final thoughts and a declaration to the world. I started this challenge of reading the Quran with the goal of better understanding what Muslims truly believe. And I feel like I've definitely accomplished that goal. But my declaration to the world is this: Jesus Christ is Lord of all.
What a great entry. What a fantastic... I imagine lots of Muslims experience massive disappointment or rage.
You have no idea.
Clicking on it. Finally, we get to hear his reaction. What is your conclusion after examining the Quran? Jesus is Lord. What?
Man, that was good. Good.
All right, here we go.
Reading the Quran was very interesting and is something that I look forward to every single...
He found it interesting? Wow. That's something you can cling to, Muslims. You can go put in the reviews of the Quran. Interesting, Jordan. I think it was the worst book I've ever read. And again, I pointed out before, I'm not saying that because I massively disagree with it. There are tons of books I massively disagree with that are absolutely amazing, brilliant books. Quran ain't one of them, but here we go.
Day. I tried to understand it as best I could. I used a Quran that had footnotes for context and explanations for each chapter and what it's about. There's many things I learned in the Quran, which I'll go into more depth on in my...
Oh, he should have added the one I used for the notes and the commentaries and references and introductions was the Critical Quran by Robert Spencer. That would have been awesome. Hey, someone needs to make a video like that. Guys, I'm going to read the Quran to understand it. Alhamdulillah. So here I read Robert Spencer's Critical Quran.
A longer YouTube video about my final thoughts. If I had to give a short summary of what the Quran is about, it would be that this is a call that Allah is making to people to worship Him alone and follow His messenger and not continue to follow false gods, and warning them of their fate if they do so. But the Quran...
That's a pretty good summary, right?
Yeah.
The message of the Quran?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do so. But the Quran, in my opinion, makes claims about history and biblical characters that have no evidence of being true besides the Quran says so. It seems to me personally, you're going to disagree, but it seems to me that it's a very human book. Like, it feels to me like a human wrote it. Yeah. Because of things like this. Surah 33:53. Oh, believers, do not enter in the homes of the Prophet.
Is that in his video that's sounding weird?
Yeah, he's just speeding it up, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Permission, and if invited for a meal, do not come too early. Things like this. Surah 33:53. O believers, do not enter in the homes of the Prophet without permission, and if invited for a meal, do not come too early and linger until the meal is ready. But if you're invited, enter on time. Once you have eaten, then go your way. Do not stay for casual talk. Such behavior is truly annoying to the Prophet, yet he is too shy to ask you to leave. But I'll touch on all these things in a longer YouTube video that's coming soon. I appreciate the kind messages and comments from most Muslims during this month.
Why are you laughing at this, IP? This man's pouring his heart out and you're laughing.
Oh, so disrespectful.
I love that verse in the Quran. I love it.
Yeah, and it is funny. I mean, it is funny that, I mean, I made my video of like my favorite Quran verse way back in the day, and that was it. It just sums up so much about what the Quran is. Anyway, there's only a few seconds left. Let me finish. Let me let him finish here.
It's coming soon. I appreciate the kind messages and comments from most Muslims during this month. I still want to be your friend. Yep. Feel free to unfollow me. I didn't do this for followers. But if you want to stay and learn more about what I believe, feel free to do so. You're more than welcome. Thank you guys for following me on this journey. I hope to have better conversations with you guys in the future. May God be with you all.
How dare you say that we can be friends? If you've read the Quran, you've read Surah 5, verse 51. It says, do not take the Jews and the Christians as friends.
Yeah, there were a lot of comments from Muslims saying, thank you for reading it. I'll still pray for you. I hope you convert later, that kind of stuff.
That's nice.
But there's still, I'd say maybe 50-50. I didn't count them all, but I mean, like, there still were a lot of comments, like I showed earlier in that slide, that were just angry or dismissing him, saying that he was blind, he didn't read it with an open heart, or he's a liar, he didn't actually read it. So, it was some very, very nice Muslims, and there were some very mean Muslims. And of course, there were Muslims before this whole thing, knowing he would convert just by opening the book, which obviously didn't happen. So they were a little upset.
Well, what's really funny here is it reminds me of like the claim that the Quran is a literary miracle. You'll have Muslims saying that, and they have no clue what they're talking about. They've generally never read the Quran. They generally can't read the Quran in Arabic. They have no clue what they're talking about. They've just heard this, so they keep saying it. But it's basically, I guarantee you, 99% of the Muslims who are responding to him saying, "Oh, once you read it, you're going to find out," know nothing beyond the basics, like the passage, like Surah Al-Fatiha. They might know something like that, but I guarantee if we sat them down and I start quoting the Quran to them, they have no clue what I'm talking about, just because I know that from experience. And so even though they've never read it, they've been trained to think that anyone who reads it is just going to have their minds blown. And then when someone reads it and their mind isn't blown, wait a minute, people like Zakir Naik have told me all my life that your mind will be blown by reading this and it's going to be really impressive. And wait a minute, it's not? Huh. Well, that must be you. You must have a problem here. All right. So, any other thoughts on this? Oh yeah. So if that verse, AP, what's up with that verse? Why is that verse so awesome?
Which
about
one?
that verse? Surah 33:53 about Muhammad. He zeroed in on one verse.
Oh yeah.
And so his claim is, hey, after reading the Quran, I've concluded that this is a very human book. It looks like a very human book. And he gave one example from the Quran, and that is one of the coolest verses ever. But
it is. It's actually, the verse was it was recommended to me, or it was brought up to me when I was still a religious Muslim, and I was trying to have a discussion with some secular atheistish guy. He brought that up to me and he said, how can you read this verse and not understand that it is clearly Muhammad himself, or just a human himself? Just go and read it. And I had read the Quran at that point, but I never paid attention to it really, to that detail. But he said, go and read it and you will laugh. And I didn't take that very well, so I went back and I actually opened the Quran and read it, and I was like, I thought, okay, this is kind of weird. But I didn't want to tell myself. I didn't want to admit that it was kind of weird. So I just tried to suppress that, but I still think it's kind of weird.
Yeah, it is. And it's sort of a collection of verses where you look at them and you're just like, what purpose does this serve other than just being a convenience to Muhammad? And does this sound like the eternal speech of Allah? So that verse, and matter of fact, Surah 33 is just filled with them. It's just filled with them, right? Surah 33, you got Surah 33, verse 50, which says that Muhammad, and only Muhammad, gets to break the 4-wife limit. He gets as many wives as he wants. You've got Surah 33. You've got Surah 33, verse 37. That's the one where Muhammad married his adopted son's wife after causing the divorce by lusting after her. And the Quran orders Muhammad, it says Muhammad has to marry the wife of his own adopted son, and he gives the reason. Allah gives the reason. He says, so that other Muslim men will understand that it's okay to marry the wives of their own adopted sons, right? Like, this is such a huge issue that human beings struggle with. I sit back all the time, should I or should I not take the wife of my own adopted son? I really struggle with this. Oh, thank you. We have the revelation in the Quran saying, yeah, that is, yes, you can. It's a good idea. Problem is, same chapter, verses 4 to 5, Allah abolishes adoption, again, in order to justify Muhammad's marriage to his adopted son's wife. So Allah abolishes adoption. There is no more adoption in Islam. You can take care of an orphan in Islam. You do not adopt the orphan into your family. It's not a thing that exists in Islam anymore. So notice, Allah says, Muhammad, you have to marry the wife of your own adopted son after you cause the divorce. And I need you to do this, not for you, not just because she's a smoking hot babe. I need you to do it to set an example for other people so that they understand it's okay to marry the wives of their adopted sons. Oh, by the way, I'm abolishing adoption, so there's a situation that will never rise again. So guys, think about how insane this is. Because Muslims can read that and they won't see it. They won't see that. They won't see that even though it's glaring, right? So there is no more adoption. Are we going to have adopted sons anymore? No. Is there ever going to be a situation where I will have an opportunity to marry the wife of my own adopted son? No, because there's no more adoption. But Muhammad, I need you to marry the wife of your adopted son. Why? So that other people understand that when they're in that situation, it'll be okay. Wait, what? It's not a situation anymore. You just abolished it. It can't be. It can't possibly be a situation. This is wild stuff, man.
This is actually the miracle of the Quran.
Just hearing that, I'm going to convert. It's so beautiful. Oh my goodness.
This just shows that the Quran is miraculous in that it can deliver a very important message that will be taken. It will be, regarded with great importance, but then has no importance at all afterward. The only book that can manage that is the Quran, and this just shows again that Islam is true.
Oh, wow. So anyway, our friend Jordan may not have converted to Islam, but we're going to. These powerful revelations. All right. Give a couple of super chats here. Joshua says, makes no sense to say anti-Zionism is not anti-Semitism. Like how the left says anti-racism is not racism. Makes no sense. If anyone is a Zionist, it would be Yahweh, as suggests in Isaiah. So if anyone's a Zionist, it would be God. And you find the same, you find the same thing in the Quran. You find the exact same thing in the Quran, that Allah says he gave this land to Jews and so on. Interesting. Maybe on Sunday, I've been wanting to go through the video of Sheikh Yasser Qadhi saying that it sounds like he's saying he interprets the Quran as prophesying that Muslims will destroy Israel. So that's pretty interesting. Spirit and Flesh here says, David singing makes the eyes of the leather strap of the anus cringe, and I'm from West Virginia. Well,
powerful stuff. Powerful.
Hey, AP, this is a question for you. Have you guys seen Farfour, the Hamas terror mouse? That seems to ring a bell. Didn't they have like a Mickey? Is that the like their version of Mickey Mouse, but it's like telling kids to be terrorists?
Yeah, it was. Do you remember I showed several times a clip of a Hamas official who gives instructions and says, Muslims, Arabs, go out and buy a knife and kill a Jew, cut off his neck, and stuff like that. This very violent, brutal guy. That guy is in charge of Al-Aqsa TV, which is the channel where kids shows are published, and one of those shows was a show called Tomorrow's Pioneers, where there is a character called Farfour, which is a mouse that looks like Mickey Mouse and has this shrill voice. And the show basically teaches the Palestinian kids to become killers, to grow up and kill Jews, and inform the authorities about anyone who deviates from being a true jihadi and so on. It's really, really messed up, but this was an actual mainstream show in the Gaza Strip. propagated and created by Hamas. It went from 2006 to 2009 or so. But I actually want to review that with you, David, and maybe you too, IP.
So it is written, so it shall be done.
Yes, inshallah.
Hamas, the terror mouse, here I come to kill the Jews. You guys don't even remember Mickey Mouse, do you? If there are signs, IP, you exposed a monster.
Ah, yes. The clip that shall go down in history as the defining moment of Daniel Hakikichu's position. If there are signs.
Oh, I forgot. I thought you were talking about. Yeah, I thought he was talking about something new. If there are signs that the 11-month-old baby is has reached precocious puberty, but you probably won't get parental consent unless, of course, the parents have been brainwashed by the Dawah guys into handing over their 11-month-old baby. Which is why we which is why we have to confront these guys, right? These are guys walking around convincing parents that it's okay for a 4-year-old to have sex.
Makes sense.
Right. And what would happen if NAMBLA or some sort of group that was okay with, getting it on with children just decided to convert to Islam and then take advantage of that? That'd be terrifying.
I don't see why they don't. I mean, they could convert, move to a Muslim country, do whatever they want to little kids forever, and be heroes. And it would even be harder to criticize them because now, we can't criticize something that a Muslim does. So they'd have a shield to block criticism.
It's terrifying what the Dawah guys would allow. It's terrifying.
Look at this. Big Rig says, AP, why are you laughing? Why are you laughing? How dare you?
It's how dare you.
So we have Surah 33 and Allah.
I wish I could have been there when that happened.
Oh yeah, that would have been the most hilarious thing ever.
Revelation. Look, guys, it's Allah. Hey, how's everyone? Listen, Muhammad's shy, but he doesn't want you here. Go home, everybody. Wait, what happened? Did something happen, guys? Come on.
Hang on, let me see if I can pull this up because this is just too awesome and wonderful. Again, I made a video a long time ago about my favorite Quran verse, and this one took the falafel. Absolutely awesome verse.
Pull it up. I gotta grab something.
Okay, I'm gonna pull it up and I'm gonna read it to everyone. All right, everyone, prepare to have your minds blown by the power of this verse. So this is what Jordan points out when he read the Quran, and he says, hey, I'm going to make a longer video. I'm going to go through why I think this is a human book. But as an example, he gives this. So Surah 33, verse 53. Let's check out the Sahih International. O you who have believed, do not enter the house. So keep in mind the historical background. People were coming over to Muhammad's house. They're coming over to Muhammad's house. And, he's the prophet. So they think, hey, this is a really good opportunity to get all kinds of information about the universe and everything else. So they want to come over and talk to him. Meanwhile, Muhammad has 9 wives and sex slaves and everything. So he wants to be banging his wives. But he's got these people, they come over and they want to come over and they get invited over for dinner. And then they sit there and they want to pester him with questions. But why is this, Muhammad? Where does the sun set? Where does the sun set? Oh, it sets in a muddy pool. What are stars? Can you explain shooting stars? Oh, stars are missiles that Allah uses to shoot demons. Hey, Muhammad, where does semen form? Oh, between the backbone and the ribs? Yeah, great. This is all great information here, right? That's how it works. And they're annoying him because he wants to be banging his child bride and his sex slave, right? So anyway, one day, all these guys, and he never tells them, hey guys, could you stop coming over and hanging out and pestering me with questions? He doesn't. But one day he steps out and he says, I have a revelation. And here is what Allah hath revealed to me, Sahih International. O you who have believed, do not enter the houses of the houses of the prophet, except when you are permitted for a meal, without awaiting its readiness. But when you are invited, then enter. And when you have eaten, disperse without seeking to remain for conversation. Indeed, that behavior was troubling the prophet, and he is shy. of dismissing you, but Allah is not shy of the truth. And when you ask his wives for something, ask them from behind a partition. That is purer for your hearts and their hearts. And it is not for you to harm the messenger of Allah or to marry his wives after him, dang it. Don't be banging his wives after him, even though he's going to die not terribly long after this. He's going to die, and his wives are going to be widows. Don't marry them afterwards and be comparing so that they get to compare Muhammad to you. Indeed, that would be, in the sight of Allah, an enormity. But notice, Muhammad's too shy to tell you that you're annoying him. But Allah's not shy. Now, who's delivering the revelation? Muhammad. Muhammad is delivering the revelation saying, hey, Muhammad's too shy. I'm too shy. I mean, Muhammad's too shy. So anyway, this is why we say that Allah is like Muhammad's sock puppet, right? Muhammad is not too shy to bone a 9-year-old. He's not shy there. He'll do that in a heartbeat. He's not too shy to slaughter people in the name of Allah. Not too shy to do that, but he's too shy to say, "Hey guys, you're annoying me by hanging out too long, and I'm trying to bang my wives." And so he gets a revelation. This guy actually steps out. Everyone, pay attention, because Allah's got a message for you. Not me. Not me. I wasn't going to say anything. I'm too shy. But Allah, oh yeah, He wants you to know He's not shy. He's not too shy to tell you, stop coming over and hanging out and pestering me with questions when I'm trying to smash my slave girl. Do you see why Jordan said this looks like a human book? I mean, do you get it?
Yeah. Yes. I get it.
I get it too. All right. So are we going to check out some TikTok Dawah? Because we've got a refutation. Someone's going to refute this and destroy it.
Destroy it.
Are you ready to check this out?
This is a lot of the response. This is like one of some of the responses Jordan got from Muslim. Just confused why he didn't convert. So yeah, this is it.
Oh man, we should go through all of them.
Ugh,
all right. Here we go.
4 hours.
All right, so here we go.
I just read the entire Quran as a Christian, and I'm going to give my final thoughts and
I don't understand your claim. After a month of reading the Quran, that's the verse that you bring.
That's the verse I would bring. That is, I mean,
what kind of an objection?
I love it.
Wait, you're trying to determine whether the Quran is from God, and you bring forward one of the at least top 5 examples in the Quran that show that this really, really looks like a human book. I mean, really. Could have gone in a ton of different directions. But this is one of the go-to obvious places.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, he did go there. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to correct him? How would you correct that, by the way? I guess you just say no. What the heck?
You resort to whataboutism, as we're about to see. It's whataboutism.
Yeah. All right. Let's see what he's got here.
And you call it a human book. Were you really there trying to read the Quran with an open heart? And then you say the biblical prophets mentioned in the Quran, we have to believe it because the Quran says so. And there's no historic backing. Well, there is historic backing. In the Bible, when talking about Moses, it mentions 2 pharaohs.
This is not what anyone means by historical backing, right?
What is he talking about?
Yeah, so just I get what he's saying. He doesn't understand what this guy doesn't understand what anyone's talking about. Who is this? Usted. Oh, so he's Usted isn't the same as a sheikh, but it means you're very well educated in Islamic stuff.
Yeah, possibly.
So Jordan says he's making a much longer. Matter of fact, IP, give him the invitation. He can join us if he wants, but we'd be happy to go through his video based on what he finds, and we could do that live.
I can let Jordan know you come on one night.
Yeah, and again, if he wants to jump in, he can. If not, we're happy to go through his video to assess his conclusions. But Jordan is saying, hey, there's all this stuff in the Quran that talks about all the things these prophets did, and there's no historical background for it. Now, notice, you could say, if you believe in the Bible. So this is where you need to clarify the objection, because think, if you're talking about the Bible and you say, how do I know Abraham did this? Well, you've got it in the Bible, right? And say, but there's no historical evidence beyond this. So what evidence is there? When we're talking about the Quran, we're talking about something different, in that very frequently we know where the source comes from, and very frequently we know where it comes from, and it's a later made up source. And so we look at this and we say, hey, what's the basis for this claim? We know exactly where the claim comes from. It comes from a 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th century source that has nothing to do with reality. And then the Quran picks up on the story. And we have a pretty good idea that some of these things are made up. And so that's what he's pointing out. And this guy's response is to say, no, we do have historical evidence. And he's talking about some of the claims that the Quran is aware of things that other people couldn't have been aware of. And these are generally dumb. But let's go ahead and listen to what he's saying here.
In the Bible, when talking about Moses, it mentions 2 pharaohs.
Do you know what he's talking about?
Well, play the rest of it. Play the rest of it. Just let him finish the point.
Bible's talking about 2 pharaohs?
I know what it's
talking about. It doesn't say pharaoh. It mentions king, which is historically inaccurate. And the Quran mentions 1.
You must have heard this before.
Yeah,
what is it?
And he's not even getting it right. But let's go ahead and see what he's saying.
Pharaoh, and it's been historically proven. You can mention many more, but go and do your research.
All right, you can
he didn't even explain the point. What is he?
Yeah,
this is stupid.
Yeah, and he's not getting anything right. But notice, guys, he has the characteristics of a da'i. Sound like you know what you're talking about. Speak in a condescending fashion. Oh, how could you be so stupid talking like this? Let me tell you, bibbity bobbity and a bobbity boobity, bibbity bee, and a bibbity boo. Oh, you're so dumb. What an idiot. And every last one of his fans, alhamdulillah, this is the proof. This is the proof. It's every single Dawah video. Show me a Dawah video on TikTok that is not exactly like this. I'm spouting complete nonsense. I have no clue what I'm talking about. But as long as I say it, as long as I sound like I know what I'm talking about, how could you think such a thing? Every last one of my fans is completely submissive to me.
What I think he's trying to do is do the whole like Pharaoh during Joseph was called a king in the Quran.
Yeah,
but the Bible says he's
we know the argument. He's not getting it right. He doesn't even know what he's talking about.
So the argument is that throughout the book of Genesis, they're called pharaohs that meet with Abraham, that meet with Joseph. But the term, the ruler of Egypt wasn't called Pharaoh until about the 18th dynasty. Mm-hmm. And so that would mean that when Abraham and Joseph were meeting with the king of Egypt, he wasn't called a Pharaoh. But during the time of Moses, he would have been called a Pharaoh. And they'll say, well, the Quran says that when Joseph was meeting with the ruler of Egypt, he's just called king. And then when he's meeting with when Moses is meeting with the later king of Egypt, he's called Pharaoh. So they'll say this is historically accurate. There's a lot of problems with that, and I've been looking into it a little bit more. Yeah,
and you can go through some of the issues here. But me and AP have gone through this before. That's standard. It's standard to refer to the kings of Egypt even before the title of Pharaoh starting to be used. It's standard to refer to them as pharaohs.
But I got more than that.
No, I know. I'm just saying for people who regard this as an error, that's standard. It's standard that's how you refer to a ruler in Egypt. Even if the term was not used, they call them the pharaohs. So you can look at people for whom the term pharaoh would not have been used. You can look it up in an encyclopedia or something. It'll still say Pharaoh so-and-so, Pharaoh so-and-so. That's what they called the kings of Egypt. And so stupid to claim that this is an error or some sort of confirmation of the Quran. And he's not even getting the details right. But what are your thoughts on this, IP?
All right. Well, I mean, so the Quran does refer to the Pharaoh during the time of Joseph as a king. But here's the issue here. This is only, I believe, in Surah 12, and it only refers to him about 6 times. compare that with the Bible's exhaustive narrative that are using these terms in much more detail. So it's problematic to compare a minuscule data set, the Quran's talking about Joseph, with a much larger set, like the Bible. So, I mean, you have these very minuscule examples in the Quran. You're comparing this with a pretty exhaustive accounts in Genesis and numerous historical narratives throughout the Pentateuch and the rest of the Bible. So right then and there, it's not even a fair comparison because, again, very small, minuscule data set in the Quran just talks about Joseph and the king of Egypt, like I believe, just a few times. It only mentions it in, I believe, Surah 12. So there's that. The only also problem is this is a double standard. So if you go through Surah 12, it mentions crucifixion existing in ancient Egypt, as well as Surah 20.
Wait a minute. I don't recall crucifixion being a thing in ancient Egypt.
It wasn't. It didn't exist, I believe, until maybe the Persians.
So the
Romans really put it to major use.
So the Quran talks about this practice that they didn't even have back then, as if it existed back then, because Allah apparently doesn't know any better.
Correct. Yes, that's exactly what's going on here. So they want to make a big deal about this King Pharaoh thing and ignore the fact that the same surah mentions crucifixion existing in ancient Egypt, which is nonsense. But also it's a double standard. For example, in Surah 12, it also says that when Joseph was sold into slavery, it says he was sold for I believe the Arabic word is dirham. I'm probably butchering that, but scholars note it derives from the Greek word drachma, which is a Greek form of currency. Yeah. That wasn't the currency that would have existed at the time. The Bible uses shekels, a term that shows up in the Code of Hammurabi from around the same time. So they want to say that, the Quran's getting the term right with king and pharaoh, but it doesn't get the currency term right for Joseph with this drachma thing. You can also make the case that the term pharaoh, the Arabic term, derives from the later Greek term. Now, that's being me a little nitpicky here, and I admit that I'm being a little nitpicky with like the currency issue or the term for pharaoh. But again, they're the ones saying this is somehow deriving the accurate terms from the time period when it comes to naming the ruler of Egypt, but not in other ways. For example, why is it getting the currency wrong? Why is it saying crucifixion existed back then? These are pretty serious issues if they want to say that the Quran somehow is going to get the right customs and the right use of terms from that time period, but uses a much later anachronistic term for the currency that Joseph was sold into slavery, or it's going to say the crucifixion existed back then. I mean, there's a lot more issues. I mean, as I mentioned before in one of your streams, the Quran explicitly says the Pharaoh drowned in the Red Sea, the Exodus Pharaoh. We know the Exodus Pharaoh had to be Ramesses II. That's really the only time the Exodus could have happened. He didn't die by drowning in the Red Sea. He died of old age, too old and decrepit to even ride a chariot. And the Bible in Exodus 14 and 15 is ambiguous. Same with the Psalm that mentions the Exodus. It never says the Pharaoh drowned in the Red Sea. It leaves open the possibility that he could or could not have. Exodus 14 says that their wheels started getting clogged and then they turned and fled. So they're running away in the opposite direction before the waters come by and destroy them, which leaves open the possibility that some at the front would have gotten out of that chaos. So, I mean, and we know that if the Exodus Pharaoh was Ramesses II, that's the only Pharaoh that it could have been based on the data sets the Bible and the Merneptah Stela give us, and he didn't die by drowning in the Red Sea. So the Bible actually confirms more with the historical record here, and we have no evidence that any Pharaoh from the 18th dynasty ever drowned in the Red Sea. And this is confirmed by Egyptologists like Kenneth Kitchen, James Hoffmeyer, David Falk when you read the Exodus narrative. So, they want to make this big deal about this whole Pharaoh king issue, but ignoring all these other issues. If it gets the terms right, why is it going to get the currency right? Why is it going to claim crucifixion was there? I mean, it's just a double standard when you're looking at this.
So based on what you're saying, it sounds like the method of Dawah is the Quran says tons of things about things that were going on in this, in various ancient civilizations. And if you look at this list of things, it's like, okay, that would have been wrong. 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 Here's something that could, in theory, be correct. They'll zero in on that. See, this is the proof that the Quran is true, and let's ignore everything else. Does that sound about right, how Dawah works?
Yeah, and then they're also, when it comes to the Bible, they're making a category error here because the biblical word for Pharaoh, when it goes into Hebrew, it just means a ruler of Egypt. It's not the same as the term is used in Egyptian. Same with English. Like I've seen Egyptologists talk about Pharaoh Khufu or Pharaoh Dozier. These were the guys that built the Great Pyramids of Giza, and this was long before that they would have been called Pharaoh. They would have just been called king in the Egyptian language. So it's, in English, the word Pharaoh just means ruler of Egypt. Same in Hebrew, although in Egyptian that term has a little bit more nuance. But we're just going to ignore that fact and claim the Bible has an error here, which is just not being fair.
And of course, if you're saying the Bible has a problem, well, you're talking about the Torah there, and Allah affirmed the inspiration and the preservation and the authority of the Torah. In fact, if you go to Surah 2, the main argument in Surah 2 for why people should believe in Muhammad is because he affirms the Torah. Says that to Jews over and over again. He's affirming your Torah. Why aren't you affirming him? Then you have, of course, all the Quran passages saying that Jews have to judge by the Torah. In Surah 5, verse 43, Jews come to Muhammad to settle a dispute, and Allah responds, why are they coming to you when they have the Torah? Muhammad, in the historical background, the Jews come to Muhammad to settle a dispute. He says, bring me a copy of the Torah, and the Torah is brought out, and he says, I believe in you and in the one who revealed you. Actual copy of the Torah from his time. We have copies of the Torah from before the time of Muhammad. We know what the Torah said in the time of Muhammad. This guy's mocking it. His God and his prophet affirm the Torah, and he blasts it. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? It's like he's sitting here. Notice, because this is kind of important. Jordan says that the Quran is this human book. This guy's going to respond, aha, but the Torah is wrong. Okay, then the Quran is a human book, because the Quran is, if the Torah has been corrupted, then Allah doesn't know about it, and therefore it's not from God, it's from a human. You see the problem? See the problem everyone's watching? Mm-hmm. If this guy's arguing and criticizing the Bible to defend the Quran, well, the Quran affirms the Bible. So what are you saying? This wouldn't be evidence for the Quran. This would be evidence against the Quran if the Torah has been corrupted and Allah doesn't know it. All right, shall we watch more of this guy? Hang on, let's take a couple super chats here.
Yeah.
Haddock says, Alhamdulillah, what's it like in New York City? Music, Mike, T. I don't know what those symbols mean. New York City sucks, man. That's why I left. MMA, you submit, therefore.
You should make a video about why I left New York City.
Because it sucks. Yeah, and I could just say to click something and I go, because it sucks. Yeah. And it sucked before it really started sucking. Yeshua the King says, Quran makes claim nothing is like it, but honestly, is any book like the Bible written in a 1,500-year time span by 40 different people in different regions? Yeah, 3 different continents, different languages, and so on. You've got the Quran. Everything comes from Muhammad and sounds an awful lot like what we'd expect from a 7th century caravan robber. What if the whole thing was supposed to be satire? Jeff Derbler, talk about the Quran. That would be funny. It turns out, wait, this was all supposed to be satire. All right, here's a question. How do I best help my mom out of Islam? AP, this one's for you. How do I best help my mom out of Islam? She's very kind-hearted, but never knew about the Hadith and only just discovered about Sunan An-Nasai 3378 and was pretty shocked. I plan on reading all the material I can for context. And just as an introduction, yes, if you're trying to lead your mom out of Islam, it's a pretty good idea to start studying. AP, what's that all about? What are your thoughts on this?
But somebody asked me earlier today how to tell somebody that Islam is wrong and all of that, and I just basically said that it really depends on the person. This hadith is about Muhammad's marriage to Aisha when she was 6 years old, and consummation when she was 9, which to some people may be very shocking. Unfortunately, it's such a thing that lots of people who become aware of this and feel disgusted at first might, due to cognitive dissonance, work it out and eventually decide, well, okay, you know what, it's acceptable, I guess, and just move on. So I guess what could be done here is to put more pressure on it and talk about further things and maybe go more into the detail of this whole child marriage issue.
I would I would, keep bringing up passages like that. And then, I mean, if you're trying to, I don't know your background, but if you're trying to get her to Christianity, I would start showing her, like, compare it with, like, the teachings of Jesus about, like, it's like Jesus talked about love thy neighbor as thyself. He said, like, at the end times, I'll gather the sheep and the goats, and to the sheep, I'll say, like, I was hungry and you fed me. I was naked and you clothed me. And they will say, Lord, when did we do these things? And he said, whenever you did any of these to the least to me, you did them to me also. So compare, like, the teachings of Jesus, for example, and the teachings of Paul, for example, in Galatians, for another great book there, and just show the contrast there. Like, look at what Christianity is laying down about love thy neighbor and equality for women in Galatians chapter 3, and just the love that flows out of Jesus about John 15, for example, about laying down your life for others is the greatest possible love. And then I think that'd be a good way to go about it. It just show the differences.
Yeah, and keep in mind, you can be pretty gentle in the way you go about this. So notice, you could be very harsh with an issue like this and say, look at this. It says, it's very clear. Muhammad had sex with a 9-year-old. He's a pedophile, blah, blah, blah. But you can get the exact same information across in a much gentler fashion that is more likely to keep the discussion going on. So notice, you already mentioned that this was pretty shocking to your mom. Your mom didn't know about this, which is interesting because I don't know where your mom's been, because we've made this fairly common knowledge among Muslims. But as you're pointing out, there are still lots of Muslims who obviously don't know about these things. But notice, if you just say, hey, Mom, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? This says that Muhammad had sex with a 9-year-old girl. What are your thoughts on that? Then let her think about that. Whatever she says, okay, thank you for your perspective. Then you bring up other things. And since you either, you have some version of Sunan an-Nasai, I would check out Sunan an-Nasai 3411. Sunan an-Nasai, so same text, 3411. Matter of fact, it's not long after this one, 3411. It's shortly after this one. But that's where you have Muhammad getting caught having sex with his slave girl, Mary the Copt, in his wife Hafsa's bed. And this ties in with what Jordan is saying, noticing that the Quran is a very human book. And in this case, it's Muhammad keeps receiving revelations that have no purpose other than being convenient for him and giving him, special moral privileges. But in Surah 34:11, it gives the historical background of, Sunan an-Nasai 34:11 gives the historical background of Surah 66 verses 1 through 2. It's right there in the text. And the historical background of Surah 66 verses 1 to 2 is that Muhammad got caught having sex with his slave girl in the bed of his wife Hafsa. Muhammad was, to be clear, Muhammad was allowed to have sex with his slave girls. That wasn't a problem in Islam. His wives didn't like it happening in their own beds. Like, dude, go bang her somewhere else. What are you doing in our bed? I mean, can you imagine? You're out at the market. This is what happened. Hafsa's out running errands. She comes home early. Muhammad's in her bed with his slave girl. And so Muhammad, his wives start pestering him. Hey, what are you doing? This is disgusting. You're sleeping in our beds, rolling around in our beds with your slave girl. What's up with this? Stop it. And they keep complaining until he says, fine, I swear by Allah. This is what he does. I swear by Allah, I will never have sex with that girl again. What happens? Well, Allah, Surah 66, verses 1 to 2, responds, I didn't tell you to make that oath, so break it. And he tells him to break his oath. So Muhammad goes back to having sex with his slave girl, Mary the Copt. He eventually gets her pregnant and so on. So if your mom was bothered by Muhammad having sex with a 9-year-old girl, she will probably also be bothered, if not by Muhammad having sex with his slave girl in the bed of one of his other wives, but at least by Muhammad breaking his oath he swore by Allah, I will never do this again. And then Allah tells him break that oath. That's some wild, wild stuff, as far as I can tell.
Hey, David.
What's up?
No, Jordan said he can't join us tonight, but he said maybe some other time. He said his longer video on YouTube went down the Quran, copies from Gnostic and Apocrypha texts is what he argued. Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Well, I wasn't even inviting him tonight. I don't want you on here, Jordan. He's talking about a different night after his video's up. Yeah. But yeah, and again, we'll go through his video because this is interesting. Someone's reading the Quran and giving his perspective on it. So yeah, but if he wants to join us when we go through it, he's welcome to do it. Or if he doesn't want the backlash, we'll take that for him. And it's
It's high to study the cause of Muhammad's cruelties. Do you mean high time?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Cedric says, perhaps a bad lip read, but while on the topic, did Muhammad hijab once imply consistency between Quran-only fans and a severe form of pedophilia? Hey, look at this.
Quran-only fans? What?
Yeah, when in his video, when he's talking about Quran-only Islam.
Yeah.
Get it? Quran-only fans? Get it? Quran-only fans?
Why?
Yeah, IP. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but Muhammad hijab.
I remember,
yeah, he's interacting with Quran-only Muslims, and he says that if you just go with the Quran, you'll be steered towards a severe form of pedophilia. Severe.
Almost.
And you can see Daniel Hakikachu definitely agrees.
Why are you stuttering?
But stuttering. Giovanni says, I'm starting to think Allah serves Mo. Yeah, that's the point. That's Allah is Muhammad's sock puppet.
Can't be true.
So in Islam, is it called getting blue back? What's that? Anyone know what that means?
Nope.
Probably something bad.
Probably something bad. That I bet Muhammad hijab would know if it's something bad. He'd tell us exactly what it means. Yes, I'll tell you exactly. Let me look it up on my computer.
How are you so ignorant? How do you not know all of these sexual terms?
It's just like golden showers, boy.
I learned so much about sexual fetishes and weird things from Muhammad hijab. It's amazing. Like
if you want to know about weird sexual fetishes, pedophilia, golden showers, gimps, all that stuff, just listen to the Dawah guys. They're the world's leading experts. Did Kenny G start watching late? You see, thanks AP, your lateness rubbed off on me. Because he's late. Come to Jesus and stop stuttering about leather straps, anus, eyes, and shoes. Love watching you all.
Nice.
Danny here says, I did not just miss 50 minutes of this video again, IP. I mean, it's on YouTube, so you don't really miss it. IP, praise Jesus. By the way, David, I just got devastated today after finding out Nabil left this world. What? Where have you been?
Just found that out.
Where in the world have you been, man?
Wait, Nabil died?
Yes.
Wasn't that like last Tuesday?
Yes. No idea. IP, were you aware of the word Ionos in Revelation? It seems that the word eternal is actually translated from Ionos, which should be age or something. Are you interested in responding to this?
Yeah, I need to look more into that. Revelation is not my area of expertise right now. I've not had a lot of time to study it. But I mean, yeah, I am a partial preterist, so that would make sense with my view, but I'd have to see how it's being used. I mean, like, one thing I tell people is often what the biblical authors are doing is they're using a different sense of time than like chronological time. They're using like event time. And I discussed this more in my video, was Jesus a failed apocalyptic prophet? And I explained that no, Jesus is not necessarily giving a false prediction in claiming he definitely was going to come back in the first century. And I cover that kind of aspect with regards to how they would have understood time in the biblical context there. So check that video out for more.
So you're a partial preterist, and the Dawah guys are partial predators and partial pedophiles.
Well, not the same thing.
Why do Muslim apologists sound like someone trying to sell you a used car? That is, and you wonder what it takes. You wonder what it takes to actually get this point. You say, hey, I'm going to read the entire Quran, which 99 point something of you Muslims are never going to do in your lives. I'm going to do it. And I'm going to give you my honest perspective on it. He does it. And then the response is, oh, how dare you, blah, 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 blah. And we'll refute you. And then this guy gives complete nonsense, complete bogus responses that are incredibly persuasive to his audience, who, again, have never read any of this. And they've never done the slightest bit of research, and who under no circumstances are going to look up anything he says. And if they did, they would realize everything he's saying is complete nonsense. But they won't. And this is supposed to somehow impress us all.
I think
It's more
it's
like
more than just trying to sell you a used car. It's like they're trying to sell you a used car that has been severely abused, that was thrown around, fell from the highest mountains, and is claimed to have the ability to fly, and also that randomly blows up here and there.
And then when you tell them no, they call you stupid and say they're going to come after you and destroy you. How dare you not give them millions of dollars for this crappy car?
Perfect.
Yeah. Yep. Let's see. See. How about those seat covers? Let's see. Benjamin says, "Hey, David, thanks for sharing about the Quran's view of the Bible. It's a very good argument, and many of my Muslim friends can't reconcile it with their beliefs. God bless you and your family." And yeah, I mean, I've pointed out before, I mean, if Christians learn a couple of verses from about the Quran confirming the Bible, it is very rare to encounter a Muslim who has ever heard of any of these verses. They have absolutely no clue about these verses. So generally, when you're bringing up any of these verses, it's completely new information to a Muslim. And notice, I usually just give a very kind of superficial version of it. I'll quote a couple of verses. You can go into way, way, way more detail. In fact, at some point, I want to make something like comprehensive. Like I did it with the gospel. I have a video going through every single verse of the Quran that even mentions the gospel. I go through every last one. All it ever does is affirm the inspiration, preservation, and authority of the gospel. It does nothing else. Not one word of criticism ever about the gospel. But when you go through the Quran and you include the Torah, and then you include just general comments about the scriptures of the Jews and Christians and so on, you get way, way more. So eventually I'd like to something comprehensive, like everything the Quran says about the Bible, and then all of the Muslim responses, because they will pull verses completely out of context and so on. But yes, Muslims do not know that their book affirms our book. Their Dawah guys have assured them that the Quran claims the Bible's been corrupted. Absolute deception. And so it's if you can show what the Quran actually says, this not only brings up the internal problem, namely the Quran affirms the Bible, but the Bible contradicts the Quran, so the Quran actually self-destructs by affirming scriptures that contradict it. It also exposes their Dawah guys as liars. And so you can get a kind of double light switch going off in the Muslim's mind. Whoa, I did not know this was here. And why have my Dawah guys always lied to me about this? Makar Mulli, super chat. Tanzil says, what do you guys think about the Nun whale in Islam?
I dedicated sections of some of my videos to that, of 2 videos, I think. But it was an early theory or an early belief among the Muslims, held according to some sources, according to the biographies, and according to the early tafsirs, the interpretations. It was held by the early Muslims, including by Ibn Abbas, who is a very important figure, that the world is that the world was built and established by Allah on the back of a whale that is known as the Nun, and that this whale basically swims above the water, which was there when nothing else existed. There was only a water, and on the water was a whale, and Allah built the earth on the back of that whale and planted the mountains into the earth in order to make it stable and stop it from shaking, upon which he then also established the heaven and the skies and this and that. According to the earliest sources, the earliest biographies and the tafsirs, Muhammad's followers did believe that stuff, although it is not very prominently found in the hadiths. But yeah, according to the earliest sources, that is believed. And there is one Quran verse which kind of seemingly alludes to that, which says, Nun by the pen and what it writes. But it's not very explicit.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa. Someone just asked, I'll get to it in a second, but yeah, this is actually, we'll come back to this about the Nun, because our Dawah friend here is going to bring up the mountains to protect against protect against earthquakes.
So stupid.
IP, I don't know how much you've actually gotten the big picture down of what Islam teaches, but when you put it all together, yes, you have the 7 earths stacked up on top of this giant fish or whale, and it's because this thing gets agitated and starts flopping around that the earth would actually fall apart. So Allah hammers these mountains down like tent pegs to hold it steady for when this giant fish is flopping around, and so this is supposed to be the scientific miracle in Islam. Hey, you familiar with this? You seen this, AP?
What?
You see what's going on in Madrid?
Madrid? No.
I
only see this guy on our.
Huh?
I see this guy on our screen just blowing us kisses here, but that's all I'm seeing. But what Madrid? What's happening in Madrid?
Spanish right-wing politician shot in the face in Madrid. Has that got something to do with the protests or something, or is that just totally random?
I don't know.
If it's just totally random, it's not really. I mean, it's of course a world.
Gunshot wound. Two men on a black Yamaha motorbike were involved in the shooting. Gunman was wearing a crash helmet, jumped on the bike after discharging his weapon. They don't know what it is about, just that he was shot in the face and killed. That's all.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, wild stuff.
All right, you guys ready to get back to the video?
Yeah, just let me knock out these 2 super chats here. Chevy, yeah, I'm a Christian, and I thank IP for that because of his Genesis series.
Oh,
setting the bar pretty low there, aren't you, Chevy? Mom came from Turkey, and hey, so you should be asking AP. Mom came from Turkey. And I plan on being loving when talking about these topics with her. Thank you all very much for your tips. Yes,
nice.
Good approach.
Awesome.
Good approach.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Good approach.
And Daniel says, Bible, you can't sin for God because no sin can be glorifying to God. Islam, you cannot sin for Allah because nothing done for Allah can be a sin. Yeah, that's what it sounds like, especially for a prophet. And you can do whatever you want, and it's free pass, and you're, it's totally good. All right, back to having our minds blown by the power of Dawah. Back it up slightly. Here we go.
Historically proven. You can mention many.
I just can't listen to a word of Dawah, guys. Historically proven. I just spouted complete nonsense, but my followers are too dumb to realize it. All right, here we go. He's going to give us some more.
But go and do your research. The many signs.
I love that. Go and do your research. We've already seen if you go and do your research and you don't come back saying Islam is true, you're not doing it with an open heart. So what's the point of doing the research? Apparently, we should just decide ahead of time that Islam is true, because if you do the research, you're going to conclude that it's not true, and then you're biased. So just accept it. Just believe it.
Are you going to let the guy speak? No, you're not letting him speak.
I'm sorry. That's what I mean. It's like one word from these guys. Everything is like looking, just do your research. Just Google it. Just Google it. If you just Google it. You don't even Google it. What are you, stupid? This guy doesn't even Google it.
Google it, you idiot.
I mean, again, this guy's doing more than 99% of Muslims will ever do. He read the entire Quran. I'm talking about Jordan. He's done way more than most Muslims will ever do. And this guy has nothing but contempt for him because he came to the wrong conclusion. All right, let's let him talk. Quit interrupting, IP.
Do your research. The many science.
I can't deal with it. Do your research. I can't listen to 2 words, man.
Scientific miracles in the Quran which you have failed to mention.
Did he say scientific?
Isn't even present in the
Yes,
Bible.
You gotta listen. Stop.
You can mention many more, but go and do your research. The many scientific miracles in the Quran which you have failed to mention, that isn't even present in the Bible.
How could Allah know that the sun sets in a muddy pool? How is this possible? How is this possible? You don't even have that. Okay.
When Stephen Hawking, an atheist, had said that in the 20th century, the biggest discovery was that the universe was continuously expanding. And it said that in the Quran, وَالسَّمَاءَ بَنَيْنَاهَا بِأَيْدٍ وَإِنَّا لَمُوسِعُونَ. Geological miracles. When Allah...
Oh boy. How many more times will we hear this idiotic miracle that is no miracle at all? How many more times will we hear this? Man. Do you want us to respond?
I mean, you could just go to the Bible, and just interpret that as the universe expanding. Isaiah 40:22, he who stretches out the heavens like a curtain. Oh, they're stretching out. That's like expanding. Therefore, the Bible said it before the Quran. Therefore, the Bible, everyone convert to Christianity. Game over.
You know what is actually being said in the Quran? It is Quran chapter 51, verse 47. 51, verse 47. It says that Allah, he built the heaven with great might, and he certainly expanded it. He spread it. And it says in 48 then, and the earth we spread out, and excellent is the one who creates or who prepares. So all that this is talking about, if you actually read the verses, is that Allah builds a sky on top of the earth, the ground, and he expands it. That's all it's talking about. And then it also says in the very next verse, it says, and he expands or spreads the earth. Now, how does it make sense that you think in verse 47, when it says expands, that refers to the universe constantly expanding? Okay, why exactly does it say in the very next verse, and he also spreads the earth, or he expands the earth? What does that have to do with anything now?
Yeah, and the Quran translators who try to work expansion of the universe, that's not just talking about Allah creating it initially. The translators who do this come after that it's discovered that the universe is expanding. So let's go ahead and check out what we mean here.
It actually says the heaven, we constructed it with it says literally with our hands, and indeed we are its expander. We are its expander. So it doesn't even say we are expanding it or expanded it. And the earth we spread out, and excellent is the preparer. That's what it says.
Yeah, so here you go. Here are a bunch of translations of this. So Sahih International. And the heaven we constructed with strength, and indeed we are its expander. So what's that talking about? That Allah stretched it out at the beginning, or that Allah is continuing to stretch it out? If you're saying this refers to continuing action, then as AP pointed out, you got to deal with the next verse, which says he does the same thing. He says he's spreading out the earth. So does that mean continuing to spread?
The earth is expanding, guys. Oh no.
You see. But so notice, there you have, at least there in the Sahih International, you have, we are its expander. Pickthall, we have built the heaven with might, and we it is who make the vast extent thereof. Wait, we make the vast extent. There's just saying that the universe there's a vast extent to the universe. Oh my goodness, how could the Quran know that there's a vast extent of the heaven? Yusuf Ali, with power and skill did we construct the firmament, for it is we who create the vastness of space. Allah says he creates the vastness of space. Anything about the universe expanding here? No. M.H. Shakir, and the heaven, we raised it high with power, and most surely we are the makers of things ample. Notice, a bunch of these translations just seem to understand that it's just talking about, hey, there's a big universe, Allah made it big. Muhammad Sawar, we have made the heavens with our own hands, and we expanded it. Mohsen Khan, with power did we construct the heaven. Verily, we are able to extend the vastness of space thereof. He's able to extend it. Arbery, and heaven, we built it with might, and we extend it wide.
I like Arbery because Arbery is a very literal translation, quite literal of the actual verses, and all the talk about space and the universe and this and that, it is all just modern reinterpretations of what is actually being said. All the Quran actually says here is that Allah built the sky, the heaven. It says was sama, which is the word for the sky. Literally, it's the sky. He built the sky. Allah constructed the sky with his power or his hands, and he is the one who expanded it. So if you understand the Quran actually and how it describes the creation of the world, Allah builds the earth and then builds a heaven, and they are formless at first, and then he expands this heaven, this sky, and makes 7 skies out of it. And he also then expands the earth and spreads it out and makes 7 like it. So that's what's actually happening. The sky is an object and Allah expands it. That's what's happening here. There is no universe, there is no space, there is no expansion of.
In fact, the heavens are these are solid domes that would fall on us. The Quran repeatedly warns that Allah could drop the heaven on us. If Allah weren't holding up one of these domes, it would fall on us. And so notice, I mean, here again, I mean, as you pointed out, notice if you want to, most of the translations don't say anything about the universe expanding. A lot of them just say it's a vast space or something like that. But if you want to say this refers to some ongoing process or something, the next verse, Shakir, and the earth, we have made it a wide extent. How well have we then spread it out? Okay, if you're saying this refers to, things that are still going, so the earth is still being spread out. Sher Ali, and the earth we have spread out, and how excellently do we spread it out? So they're actually translating this as the earth is continuing to be spread out. Yusuf Ali, and we have spread out the spacious earth. How excellently do we spread out? So, I mean, you're saying that Allah is still spreading out the earth? You have to, if you want to interpret the verse before it as saying that Allah is extending the universe. So anyway, this is just wild stuff. But yeah, what were you saying, IP?
Well, I mean, there are verses in the Hebrew Bible talk about the heavens being stretched out. Jeremiah 10:12, Isaiah 40:22. So I mean, why is the Quran somehow miraculous, but the Bible is not also talking about the expansion of the earth or the expansion of the heavens? I don't think that's what the biblical verses are doing, because I apply speech act theory to the Bible, as I've said numerous times. But I mean, it's just, you're going to say the Quran's talking about the expansion of the universe, and why isn't the Bible? I've seen Christians pull these verses and say he's talking about this expansion of the universe. So, I mean, why don't you just become a Christian then? I mean, it's double standard. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, huge. And kind of 2 more issues. 1, Ali Dawah, and 2, Hamza Tsortsis. Let's start with Hamza Tsortsis, right? So think about this. Hamza Tsortsis actually explained about 10 years ago, why, and he explained it after just getting completely humiliated trying to bring up some of these so-called Quran scientific miracles to an atheist who was a scientist, and he just got burned up. He got completely humiliated. And what did he do? He concluded that the argument from scientific miracles totally debunked. This is why I keep saying that you have arguments that are debunked and have been abandoned by the leading Dawah figures on YouTube. And so some of these lesser figures are, some of the lower level Dawah guys are still using the same arguments on TikTok, even though their main guys say this is absolute nonsense. Do not believe. When I say absolute nonsense, those are Ali Dawah's words. Ali Dawah says this argument is absolute nonsense. Right? Yes. You bear witness there, AP, don't you? That's what Ali Dawah said.
Yep.
Okay, so yes, Ali Dawah says it's complete nonsense. But before Ali Dawah, Hamza Tsortsis actually broke down why this argument falls apart. To show that this is a miracle, to show that we're dealing with a scientific miracle here, you need to know a couple things. One, you need to know what the Quran verse is actually saying. It needs to be clearly saying what you're saying it's saying. And this fails the test right from the jump. If this were saying that the universe is expanding, we should expect to find Quran commentators for 14 centuries saying that. We don't. We find modern Muslim Dawah guys saying it. That's who we find saying it. If the Quran is saying that the universe is expanding, we would expect to find that in translations. We don't. That's not. And it makes no sense if you actually go to the passage. So the Quran completely fails this first test. You don't even know what it's saying. Your own translators don't agree that it's saying that. 14 centuries of Muslim commentators don't agree that it's saying that. Modern Muslims who are trying to fit science into the Quran because Zakir and I told them to, that's who's doing this. So it fails the first. You do not know what this is saying. And the other criteria would be you have to know that the science is settled. And 3, you'd have to know that this couldn't have been known at Muhammad's time. You have to know all those things. But it doesn't get started because you don't know what the Quran is saying and everyone disagrees with you. So the point is, why should we take this as a scientific miracle when your own Dawah guys don't take it as a scientific miracle? They say this is nonsense. And two, no one agrees with you on what the Quran is even saying here, except for modern Dawah guys who are trying to fit science into the Quran. And we're supposed to take this as a conclusive scientific miracle. This is insane. This is idiotic. And you could, if this is your method, you could defend any book like this. You could defend any book by this. All right. Should we get back to our buddy?
The next scientific miracle about the mountains. Here we go.
Allah Ta'ala was describing the purpose in the creation of the mountains. وَالْجِبَالَ أَوْتَادًا. Right? The use of the words in Arabic, precise words, right? You didn't take any look at this. You didn't take any deep dive into it, but you
uses precise words. The Quran says that the Quran says that Allah tossed mountains down and used them as tent pegs. He used them as tent pegs to hold the earth from shaking. Why is he holding the earth from shaking? Because the giant fish flops around and would destroy the earth if Allah didn't toss down these mountains like tent pegs.
Wait! He didn't even make a point here. Where is his point?
Let's go back.
In Arabic, precise words. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was describing the purpose in the creation of the mountains, وَالْجِبَالَ أَوْتَادًا, right? The use of the words in Arabic, precise words, right?
By the way, look at how confident he is.
Okay.
The precise
Where's
words.
the point?
The precise words for Allah hammering mountains down as tent pegs to stop the earth from shaking apart when the fish starts flopping around.
Okay, but where is his point?
Look at this. You didn't take any deep dive.
It's how could Allah know? How could Muhammad know what mountains are according to this? That's the argument. Do not reject it, AP. Listen to the man's point. I'll rewind it. Let's get his point.
In the creation of the mountains, وَالْجِبَالَ أَوْتَادًا, right? The use of the words in Arabic, precise words, right? You didn't take any look at this. You didn't take any deep dive into it, but you make conclusions?
How dare you?
Hey, everyone, tell this guy, show you how generous we are. Hey, Usted, we will have you on here to break down. We will go through all these passages about mountains in the Quran, and you can show us the miracle.
Okay, so what he says here is he doesn't even explain it. This is such stupidity.
It's terrible.
I'm really trying not to be insulting. I try my best not to be insulting, but this is so stupid.
You set him off.
So unbearably stupid.
You set him off, Usted. Look what you did. I mean, you done did it now, Sahel. You done did it now.
You didn't even look at it. You didn't even look at it. How beautiful, how accurately the Quran says. What does it say? It says in Arabic, the mountains as pegs. The mountains as sticks.
Okay, yeah, how could anyone know that the mountains are pegs?
How could... And he doesn't even explain what he's exactly talking about. He doesn't explain how this is a miracle, why this is special, why this is fantastic, what mountains actually look like. None of that. Nothing at all. Just, wow, look at how it says chocolate tastes good. How could anybody know this? Like it's almost like that. And then he even presents a completely stupid point. At least chocolate tastes good would be a fact. But when he says that the Quran in Arabic says mountains are pegs, mountains are stakes, that is complete nonsense. That's complete nonsense. This is based on the ridiculously primitive, prehistoric, pre-modern mainstream Islamic understanding that the mountains are these pegs, are these stakes that are kind of rammed into the earth or something like that, which is complete nonsense. It's stupidity. What you call mountains, what you see as mountains, is millions of years of the earth, crushing into each other and shaping and ascending and forming, different elevations, or I don't know, lava, something from the ground shooting up and forming elevations in the ground. It is part of the ground. A mountain that you see is basically the same thing as the ground that you step on when you are outside. It's not a peg. It's not something that was planted into the earth, but the Quran clearly describes mountain as these pegs that Allah planted into the earth. And he set mountains firmly into the earth when there was nothing. This is stupid. If you want to evaluate the Quran's description of mountains at all, what you could conclude is that the Quran has a completely idiotic, ignorant, dumb understanding of what mountains are. It doesn't get it at all. Like it gets nothing about the mountains right. Not a single thing.
Wait, it does. It says that there are mountains. How could Muhammad have known that there are mountains? Haha! You didn't even think of that one, AP.
And the thing is that this guy really acts like with this smug attitude, he really acts like he just made a point. He acts like he just, he blew everyone's mind. And people who think like him, and I'm sorry to say, but that's the average Muslim, they then agree and think, wow, brilliant. Wow, alhamdulillah, mashallah, brother, speak more, debunk this too and that too. Not realizing that to all of us, the rest of the world, this is just so stupid.
Surah 21:31, and we have set on the earth mountains standing firm, lest it should shake with them. So notice Allah sets on the earth mountains. He sets on the earth. Guys, the picture you get is like raising a tent, and you need you need the tent to be steady, so you hammer some tent pegs down into it. They would have all been familiar with this in the ancient world. They travel around and so on. You have to set up your tent, and if the wind's going to blow around and something's going to blow your tent around, you hammer some pegs into to keep it steady. That's what you do. And Muhammad says, yeah, the earth and the heavens are like that. And so notice, again, we have set on the earth mountains standing firm, lest it should shake with them. 31:10, he created the heavens without any pillars that you can see. Notice, he created the heavens without any pillars. Allah's the one holding it up. He says in the Quran multiple times that he's the one who holds up the heaven from falling on you. So it's not there.
So much Allah. If you weren't holding,
there are no pillars. Yeah, there are no pillars holding up this heaven from falling on us. It's Allah that's holding it up. Wow. He set on the earth mountains standing firm, lest it should shake with you. So Allah sets mountains. Now notice, is this correct? Right? Is this tectonic plates hitting each other and the mountains rise up? No, these are things he sets down like tent pegs, right? A tent peg doesn't grow up out of the ground. You hammer a tent peg into the ground. That's what Allah is saying about the mountains. And why? If you put the entire picture together, it's because there's this giant fish flopping around, and the earths are stacked up on top of this fish, and it's going to flop around, and therefore you need something holding things steady, and so Allah puts the mountains down as tent pegs. This is the scientific miracle that's, oh my goodness, how did you miss this when you read the Quran?
What's also very important to point out here, something that we often don't emphasize, and I would actually like to talk to somebody who specializes in earthquakes and mountains and seismic activity. But this age-old Muslim claim that I heard too when I was a child, I heard it from my uncle, from my parents, from others, that mountains prevent earthquakes or mountains decrease earthquakes. And the Quran accurately said this when science didn't know this at all, and science only found out now. I later realized as I researched that science never ever discovered such a thing, and that nobody makes such a claim. Mm-hmm. It's stupid. It can't make sense anyway, because mountains are created from the very thing that causes earthquakes, from the tectonic activities, which where the earth crushes and deforms and does all kinds of different things that causes a mountain over many long periods of time. There is no single confirmed evidence or anything which says that mountains prevent earthquakes. If there are mountains, if you live around a mountain, you will not experience earthquakes. There are lots of very mountainous regions on the earth that are very important earthquake hotspots.
Yeah, haven't they ever heard of like avalanches or falling rocks? I mean, like even physics.org has an article on mountains influence the impact of earthquakes, and it says that sometimes they can direct them in certain places, making them, the earthquakes, more powerful than expected. So like,
that's not good. Hey, let me give a so this is Tafsir Jalalain, one of the classic Muslim commentaries, and the commenting on Surah 78 verse 7 and the mountain's pegs says, the mountain's pegs with which the earth is tied down like tents are tied down with pegs. The earth, he says this means that the earth is tied down with the mountains as pegs, like tents are tied down with pegs.
Powerful stuff.
Are you kidding me? Are you like, notice this guy is speaking in this massively condescending, how did you miss this? This is cool. Did you do a deep dive into the mountains being pegs? Did you do? No, you didn't. What are you, stupid? This is why we can't take you seriously. And all of his fans, oh, well, there's so much proof, so much proof. Keep in mind, he's going with his best arguments, right? I mean, obviously he has a short 3-minute TikTok video responding to this guy saying that the Quran sounds like a really human book. He doesn't respond to what Jordan actually says. Instead, it's, what about the miracles of these tent pegs? And mountains are like tent pegs that hold the earth from flopping around in the back of this giant whale.
You know what? I have a recommendation for everyone. If you really want to see how early Muslims thought and what kind of idiotic nonsense they believed, there is one tafsir, one exegesis of the Quran that you can go to. Unfortunately, it's not very accessible because it is not available in English, probably for a very good reason, but only in Arabic. But it also happens to be one of the earliest and most famously known exegesis. It's the exegesis of Tabari. It's Tafsir al-Tabari, and you can find it in Arabic. You can find online sources which offer the whole thing in Arabic, and you can use some translators to check what the pages actually say, and you will see when you read that book that the earliest Muslims had the most ridiculous beliefs. The tafsir confirms all kinds of things which we point out about the Quran on how ignorant it is, including it describes about the sun going and setting in a muddy spring. It never ever offers a different explanation. It just describes how the Muslims authoritatively and authentically described how the sun actually literally goes to a place and then sinks in a muddy spring. And then the disagreement is just about whether that spring is muddy or hot or black and so on. But the earliest Muslims just had the most idiotic beliefs, and those beliefs only changed once Islam expanded and reached places that were not as ignorant as 7th century Arabia. Even then, many of the ignorant issues were retained, but slowly the information changed because Islam was introduced to Spain, for example, where people had known forever that the earth was not this weird magical flat place. It was introduced to Anatolia, where people thought differently for a very long time. But the Quran itself is ignorant. Islam is ignorant.
Augustine, I believe, talked about the earth being round. But listen to this. 2008, the Wishun earthquake in China destroyed human communities and reshaped the mountain landscape. So, earthquakes happen on mountains, guys. So.
Mountains happen because of earthquakes or because of activities. Really, Muslim, if you are watching this right now, and if you were told all your life that it's a miracle that the Quran says mountains were created to prevent earthquakes, and you think it's a miracle that only in modern times we found out that mountains do indeed prevent earthquakes, I must tell you, you have been lied to. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, but you have been lied to. It's not true.
Let's just check out something from the Quran here. All right, ready?
Mm-hmm.
So this is Quran, Surah 24, verse 43. Now look at what they have to do with this translation and adding words to avoid some weird absurdities, right? Sahih International. Do you not see that Allah drives clouds? Then he brings them together, then he makes them into a mass, and you see the rain emerge from within it. And he sends down from the sky mountains within which, notice, he sends down from the sky mountains, and they have put of clouds, of clouds within which is hail. So here again, you have all these weird passages about mountains. Note, if you found something miraculous in here about mountains coming down from the sky or something, you say, look, it says he sends down mountains and so on. Anyway, this is wild, wild stuff.
You're just being very Islamophobic here.
You're being Islamophobic and bigoted. Didn't even think about that, did you? All right, so let's get back to our friend here.
Yeah, I think now he's attacking the Bible.
Let's take a look.
What's that? Oh, this is where he starts attacking the Bible?
I think so, yeah.
All right, let's go.
Right? You didn't take any look at this. You didn't take.
Look, it's the annoying.
How dare you?
It's the annoying look on his face. You didn't look into in any of this. You're acting like one of my fans who don't look into anything. I mean, what are you, stupid? You read the entire Quran and you didn't see this? All right.
Deep dive into it, but you make conclusions.
Actually advocating deep dive? What would happen if you did a deep dive of 5 seconds going into this? Anyway.
Very disingenuous. Let's take a look at the Bible.
How dare you? How dare you read it and not come to become a Muslim?
How can this last, man? How is this a thing? How is this still a thing?
Stupid.
Okay.
Jehoiakim was 8 years old when he ruled Jerusalem. And another place it says Jehoiakim was 18 years old when he ruled. Many numeric contradictions. We don't have
in the Bible that the Quran affirms
of the Bible. There's no manuscripts that we can.
No proof of the Bible that your God and your prophet affirm as the inspired, preserved, authoritative word of Allah? I guess that's a problem for the Quran.
I mean, this is again just Muslims assuming Islamic standard on the biblical text, and we don't have that. I have never argued for perfect preservation. I have admitted there are scribal errors. That's not the evidence I would ever use for Christianity. And just watch Bart Ehrman's interview with Muhammad Ajab. He says, like, look, this is not evidence a book is divine if something is inerrant or perfectly preserved. These are completely irrelevant. Like, these don't actually get you there. And this is coming from one of their favorite scholars that they like to cite all the time. So, I mean, like, I can admit, and I know most scholars will admit, yeah, you can find a few scribal errors here and there. Who cares? That doesn't threaten the message, the theology, the actual evidence Christians use, like from the reliability of the New Testament or the argument from the resurrection. I mean, or like, reliability of the Old Testament. It's about reliability, not perfect preservation. So, I mean, this is just assuming an Islamic standard that we don't have. So, and he talks about like numerical contradictions. I did a whole video on how time is different in the Bible. When they're using numbers, they're not necessarily using them as exact quantities or exact dates. This is a cultural thing that we thrust on the biblical text, but often the times in the Bible, numbers are used for symbolic purposes, and I detail it in that video. So, I mean, like, again, just assuming Islamic standards when Christians don't have them.
If I were assuming Islamic standards, I would say, hey, your God says it's the word of God, and what do you say? Oh, it's stupid. Okay. Yeah. By the way, if he's talking about differences in numbering and so on, I mean, you could go to one passage of the Quran. It says the earth was created in 8 days. You go to another passage that says the earth was created in 6 days. And what they will do is they'll attempt to harmonize this, but then they won't give anyone else the option to talk about that. Or if you say, hey, we believe that people have made scribal errors. Any book copied by human beings is going to have that. They'll say, you say the Bible's been corrupted, when if they look at their own manuscript tradition, they would find tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of scribal errors. Anyway, it's absolute hypocrisy from beginning to end.
Even if you go to gotquestions.org, which is a super conservative Christian site, they'll admit the whole Jehoiakim may be a scribal error. Like, they don't even consider it a big issue because, again, Christians don't have these same standards and principles that Muslims are going to use, and that's why we're not convinced by their arguments when they say perfect preservation, even if that was a thing, which it isn't, is not going to convince us. That's not how you would prove it's divine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Hopefully he's got something better than
Dates
this.
at the time of Jesus. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Who are they? We don't know.
Yes, we do.
Allah in the Quran orders Christians to judge by the gospel that we have, but Allah is so, this is all I hear when these guys talk. Allah is so stupid. He is so dumb for telling you Christians to judge by the book that you have. He's so stupid for saying in Surah 5, verse 47 of the Quran, that Christians have that Christians have to judge not by the Quran, but by the gospel. He's so dumb for saying in Surah 5, verse 68, that Christians have no ground to stand upon unless they stand upon the gospel. Doesn't he know that we have no idea what the gospel is and it's just a bunch of confusion? Ha 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 ha. It's like all I hear, every word I hear is him. Notice he's defending the Quran and it's completely dumb responses. And then he attacks the Bible and he doesn't realize he's still attacking the, I don't know what to do, man.
Well,
what is this?
The whole idea that we don't know who Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are just completely false.
That's
Matthew
ridiculous.
Was a disciple. John was a disciple. Mark is the interpreter and follower of Peter. Luke was a companion of Paul.
Traveling companion, and very frequently says, and we went here, we went there. He's a traveling companion of the Apostle Paul.
Yeah, you can read Colin Hemmer's book on the Book of Acts showing how reliable it is. But Simon Gathercole wrote a paper in 2018 called The Alleged Anonymity of the Canonical Gospels and argued that the Gospels most likely came from these four men. Again, we have unanimous attestation from them from the early church. And Simon Gathercole also surveys biographies in the Greco-Roman world from the same time period the Gospels were written. And he notes only two internally identify the author of all the biographies written in the ancient world. So it was just the cultural standard to not internally identify the author. However, biographies always came with a title, like written by so-and-so, written by so-and-so. So in every single early fragmented manuscript we have always says the gospel according to Matthew, the gospel according to Mark, these titles. So you would always externally identify a biography in that sort of, with that sort of title. And that's what we find on every single manuscript that still bears the title, like unless it's been fragmented and lost to time kind of thing. So Gathercole just sort of blows us out of the water and shows that no, we have plenty of evidence these go back to the four men who they're constantly attributed to. And again, if you go through the early church, we have never had them debating about who to attribute them to. They're always Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. If the Gospels were actually originally anonymous, the dialogue among the church fathers regarding them would resemble the dialogue regarding the book of Hebrews, which is truly an anonymous work. And you can see like different church fathers debating about who wrote Hebrews because we don't know. They never are debating about who wrote the Gospels. It's always Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, over and over. And Gathercole's paper demonstrates this quite easily. So I don't know what he's getting at here.
Well, and it's just, I mean, if he actually understood the reasoning of people who say we don't know who wrote the Gospels, if he actually understood what that reasoning is, and the reasoning goes something like this. The Gospels contain prophecies of things that happened in AD 70. Therefore, since we, the scholars, don't believe in predictive prophecy, these Gospels must have been written after that. Therefore, they couldn't have been written by early figures and so on. And so it must have been written later than that and by other people. And who knows who wrote this stuff. A Muslim should not be adopting any of those positions. And if a Muslim did adopt the positions of more critical scholars, one, the hadith are gone. All the hadith are gone. If you adopted one drop of the skepticism that critical scholars apply to the Bible, and you're saying, yeah, they have a good methodology, the hadith are gone. Even the Quran, even the Quran. If you go to critical scholars of the Quran, they're going to say all kinds of things. How this is just a bunch of earlier sources that are being recycled and put together, and so on. And so here again, it's always the double standard. We approach the Quran in one way where we just believe the standard narrative and we never apply critical scholarship to it. And we never do this. And anything that we could possibly twist into something being correct is this miracle. And we go to the Quran we go to the Bible and, hey, we'll go with critical, skeptical scholars and so on. And we'll go with what they say.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, even though we're contradicting our own God and our own prophet who give the Bible their stamp of approval.
And you can check out books like Why There Are Differences in the Gospels by Mike Licona, The Reliability of the Gospels by Craig Blomberg, Jesus and the Eyewitnesses by Richard Bauckham. I mean, There's just tons of evidence I could cite. I'm actually making a series right now on the reliability of the Gospels. Part 4 is going to be out tomorrow. So, I mean, like, we got a ton of evidence these are reliable documents. Sorry, AP.
So our friend here, we'll let him finish, but his response to, hey, the Quran seems like a really human book is, well, the Quran says the mountains are pegs. And if you look at why it says they're pegs, this is not something that's being confirmed by science. And what was his other thing? Oh, yeah. The Quran talks about Pharaoh being a king. And see, how could you doubt this? Same book that says that the sun sets in a muddy pool. Same book that says that stars are missiles that Allah uses to shoot demons. Same book that says that semen is formed between the backbone and ribs. Same book that says there are these seven earths stacked up like pancakes. This is the miracle that you somehow miss. It's awesome stuff. All right, let's let him finish up here.
That's a very human book to me.
The Bible, the one my God consistently tells you to follow. It's a very human book. Ha 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 ha. Man, my God and my prophet were stupid.
Any shade. The many prophecies by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Oh yeah, like what?
Coming true in front of our eyes.
Give it to us.
The predictions that the Quran had claimed is coming right in front of us.
Where? Which one?
So.
Oh,
I don't think
chapter. Trust me, bro.
It's a human book at all, and especially if you know the Arabic language and you're a student of the Arabic language, it will continuously amaze you.
Wow, I'll trust you. I trust you on that.
Alhamdulillah ala ni'matil Islam. I wholeheartedly believe that Islam is the haqq, the truth.
Because of the mountain pegs.
It doesn't mean anything to hear from you because you're very stupid. So I don't know what.
Well, yeah, and I mean, again, I pointed this out before. He knows he's responding to this guy. He knows he's responding to a guy who says the Quran seems like a really human book. And then, in response, he's obviously giving what he regards as the best case. What was it?
Mountain pegs.
Pharaoh was a king and mountains are pegs. If you look at what the Quran actually says, it's absolute nonsense. Wow.
Made, and it has no ounce. There is bila shak, no doubt that this book is written by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
No doubt. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that stars are missiles that Allah uses to shoot demons, there's no doubt. When Allah says that the sun sets in a muddy pool and that there are people who live there and Alexander the Great actually went there, there is no doubt in any of this. Zero. How could you be so stupid and not see it as the miracle that it is? When the Quran says that Muhammad can break his oath to his wives and start having sex with his slave girl, there is no doubt that this is what Allah is absolutely obsessed with from all eternity.
Or when he says Ezra, the Jews say Ezra is the son of God. Or says
there is
Jesus
no doubt,
crucified.
even though you cannot find one Jew in all of history who says that Ezra is the son of Allah, there's no doubt that it's true, even though you will never find a Jew who says this. This
Powerful
is
stuff.
Welcome to Dawah. All right, this is the end here. Let's see.
The Bible? Nah, not so much.
Not the
scholars
book that,
or whatever the case may be, will tell you that this is very human. Right?
Very human. Even though Allah says it came from him. Surah 3, verses 3 to 4. I sent down the Torah and the gospel. Allah doesn't know what he's talking about. Listen to the scholars. Listen to the scholars. Don't listen to Allah. Allah's a liar. Who believes in Allah? There's no doubt. Now think about this. There's no doubt in what the Quran says. The Quran says no one can change Allah's words. Surah 18, verse 27. No one can change Allah's words. The Quran says that the Torah and the gospel are Allah's words. Surah 3, verses 3 to 4. The Quran says that Jews and Christians in the time of Muhammad, so centuries after the time of Jesus, the Quran says Jews and Christians still have the Torah and the gospel. There's no doubt in the Quran. Okay, there's no doubt in this book that says that Jews and Christians had the inspired, preserved, authoritative word of God. And then he proceeds to tell us that we don't have the inspired, preserved, authoritative word of God. Well then, the Quran is in doubt, isn't it? I mean, the Quran is, Allah would be a stupid moron according to you, right? He's constantly affirming a book that according to you is all messed up and simultaneously bragging that there's no doubt in what he says.
Beautiful.
I've never met a Muslim who does. I've never met a Muslim who doesn't doubt what Allah says about the Bible.
Alhamdulillah.
Isn't that interesting?
Beautiful.
Jews admit that they have corrupted their own
Look
book,
at the look
the
on his face.
scriptures.
What? Wait, who admits that?
Jews admit that they have corrupted their own scriptures. Let's see.
Jews admit that they have corrupted their own book, the scriptures.
Wow. Jews admit it.
Wow.
We have
Trust
the
me,
haqq,
bro.
We have the truth.
We have
Jews even say that
We have
Ezra
the
is the son
haqq.
of God.
Yeah, they say it. They say it, bro. Trust me. Isn't this like this is like a perfect summary of Dawah? It's just spouting nonsense while acting really confident and knowing
Breaking.
that your
admit
followers
that they corrupted their scripture.
knowing that your followers are so insanely stupid that they will never in a million years look up one word you say, and then you heap abuse and insults on the one guy you're paying attention to who actually reads your book.
Breaking. Jews admit that their scripture is corrupted and they corrupted it themselves. Jews admit that you cannot trust their scripture. Breaking news all over the world right now, according to this guy, I guess.
Yep. All right. Well, that's the power of Dawah. That's the power of Dawah. And glad you're over there, IP, checking this stuff out. Hey, IP, I know you have a family and stuff. We're going to go through some super chats, so you can check them out, or you can dip if you need to.
I got some more videos we can go through on TikTok. We got to go back to that occultist guy who's claiming, that the demons are telling him that Islam is true. That is pure gold, and I found more that we can totally digest.
Oh, we can. I don't know. I know you've got other stuff to do, but anytime you're not busy on a day of the week, we can have This Week in TikTok Dawah, because once again, they're taking all the arguments that have been debunked and are now not being used anymore with the rest of us, and they're trying to appeal to a younger audience who doesn't know any better. And that's I've said it a million times. Dawah is deception. They're looking for ways to deceive people. They're looking for an atmosphere of ignorance. They do not want anyone who's going to actually seriously look into this stuff, which is why I'll say it again for anyone who wants to contact that guy we're just looking at. Tell him he's welcome to join us live and take us through these miracles, but we will read the passages. Now, obviously, we have a bunch of people here, and he would love to do Dawah and expose us, expose our ignorance, expose our deception, expose us, and show that the Quran, there is no doubt therein.
Most
right?
definitely.
No, he's not going to come near us because he's only looking for people who don't know anything. Isn't that interesting? All right, let's do some super chats rapid fire here. You don't even have to be Christian to see the benefit of using Christianity's main principles for a healthy and peaceful society. Islam, not so much.
Yeah, I actually did a video where I went through some studies. It's called "Does Christianity Cause War and Violence?" The first study I cited was actually on studying levels of interstate armed conflict, and he looked at Christianity, Buddhism, and Islam. Buddhism was non-significant. It didn't negatively or positively correlate with interstate armed conflict. Christianity negatively correlated with interstate armed conflict, and Islam positively correlated with interstate armed conflict. So it seems the most peaceful religion would be Christianity, even beating out Buddhism there in that.
What,
I cited some other studies.
Yeah,
What?
see, you're being closed-minded. What's wrong with you? Why don't you do a deep dive? You're quoting all these scholarly sources and not doing the deep dive, which is just to act like you've done a deep dive. See?
I think I gave you the study, AP, a while back, but it's in. I can send it to you again if you want it. It's a good study.
It's
I got some other ones too.
Yeah, he just told you it's Islamophobic. That's ball game.
Sorry. Well, yeah, I got other ones too. I found so many more that I'm just using.
Yeah, and I actually just recorded a video about Ayaan Hirsi Ali and some of the stuff she said at a recent panel discussion. Very interesting, because she's a former Muslim who then sort of teamed up with the new atheists, and now says she identifies as a follower of the Judeo-Christian religion. But if you look at what she's saying, she's not saying she actually believes these things are true. She's just saying it's better. It's better than everything else. It's very interesting stuff.
Wait, Ayaan Hirsi Ali said that?
Yeah. You'll see. Check out my video tomorrow. It's not terribly long. Very interesting stuff.
Yeah, There's a lot of research showing this. I mean, even Tom Holland, who's an atheist, went into a deep dive in his book Dominion and just showed like all of the ethics that we praise today, like abolition of slavery and human rights, this comes from Christianity. It just doesn't come from anywhere else. I mean, this is the basis of his book.
Yeah, he doesn't know anything. What are you talking about? Who is he? What does that guy know about history? Care to explain?
What are his credentials?
Yeah, he has no credentials at all. All right. So, why don't Muslims ever actually read their own book? Yeah, I have my theory. I actually connect it to things like, I mean, one, it's just a horrible book to read. It's a horrible book to read. Matter of fact, Antony Flew, one of the great atheists of the 20th century, until he started thinking there's a creator when he got old. He actually did the good comparison. He said, regardless of your opinion, the Bible is a great work of literature, but to read the Quran is to do penance. That's where you that's where you punish yourself for your sins. You read the Quran to punish yourself for your sins.
I was talking with some people here in Tucson that work for the Tucson Refugee Ministry, and there's not a lot of mosques in Tucson. There's more like synagogues here than mosques, but like we're getting a lot of refugees in, and they're not being welcomed in by the Muslim community here. It's really small as it is. But the Tucson Refugee Ministry, which is a Christian ministry, welcomes in and helps them, gets them established, all these things. A lot of them are actually converting to Christianity, which is great. So that's good. But some of them say that they just have a copy because it keeps the jinn away. And they put it on the top shelf and they don't read it, but it's just there to keep the jinn away. But the Tucson Refugee Ministry is trying to get them to read the New Testament. They're getting a lot of converts. There's a pastor here who's an Afghan ex-Muslim, and he's also helping as well. So there's a lot of good stuff happening here with regards to that.
Yep. Yeah, as far as reading their own book, one, it's an awful book to read, but I connect it to passages like Surah 4, verse 65, where Muslims are told that if they have any doubt about anything that Muhammad says, that they're not real Muslims. And you combine this with warnings against the sin of bid'ah, so coming up with your own interpretation of something, innovation, that's a one-way ticket to hell. The outcome of this on the Muslim community over the centuries has been you either need to learn all of it, in which case you'll understand it all and you will interpret everything correctly, or keep your mouth shut and listen to your scholars and don't bother learning it. Because if you learn part of it, you're going to mess up. You might come up with your own interpretation of something or doubt something, and you'll be wrong. So learn it all and become a scholar, or shut up and listen to your scholars. That's it. Those are the main options. Danny here says, you see, I love how everyone does that. AP, Jesus means the word, meaning original sound of creation, meaning believing in him is like choosing to believe the floor is real. In your face, AP. Earthly says, the best verse to prove that the Quran is written by an Arabic man is chapter 68, verse 13. It's an insult to Walid bin Mughir. Yeah, I mean, the Quran contains, this is exactly what you read in the Muslim commentaries, that this is a response to a particular person. So you have to say that Allah's intending this from all eternity. Brigham Young. Is this Daniel Hakikachu's other channel? Brigham Young, peace be upon him. Here are some super shekels for Juicewood, IP Man, and Ridvan, the AP Man. Keep up the good work. Thank you. And don't worry, Muslim Dawah guys will continue to bring them young for you.
He called me Ip Man after that.
Ip Man.
The movies.
Yeah, Ip Man. Yeah, that was the guy who, he taught Bruce Lee back in the day. DJ says, David Wood, do your research on this guy by letting him talk. Yeah. I don't know. I can't. It's just after like 1,000 Dawah guys all do the exact same thing. They'll say something ridiculous, but say it in this condescending fashion where, haha, you're stupid if you disagree with me. And then it actually works with stupid people.
Educate yourself. Look it up.
Educate. We should make videos for something else and just act like that the entire time. Matter of fact, we should make anti-Dawah videos where we spout just complete nonsense about the Quran, but we say it in such a condescending fashion that it will actually persuade these guys' followers. And we can even say, hey, if you want serious refutations, go to our regular videos where we talk like normal people. But for those of you who are just impressed by the way people act and sound, check out this video.
Or maybe we should make a video suggesting that the eyes are the leather strap of the anus, and we should just be like, look it up.
Yeah,
look it up. Have you never studied it?
Yeah, we need a shake your booty video where he's defending this, but acting exactly like a Dawah guy. VP says these responses from Muslims are always absolute nothing burgers. What a waste of time. Also, AP randomly saying Alhamdulillah always cracks me up. Yeah, I like that too.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Kid. That's what I used to do as a Muslim, you know.
Oh yeah. Kid, Mom, can we get Shakespeare? Mom, we have Shakespeare at home. Shakespeare at home. The eyes are the leather strap of the anus.
Good use of the meme. Very good. Very good.
Beauty.
The heavens are a firmament. Definitely a word for things that expand. Mort says, Mike, David, Ridvan, do you guys think atheists and Christians will team together as Islam becomes more of a presence in the West? Yes, I do. And that ties into that ties in with what I was just saying about like Ayan Hirsi Ali. And I've seen a lot of atheists over the past couple of years sort of warming up to the idea of Christianity, not necessarily in converting to Christianity, but thinking, okay, 20 years ago we were like, hey, if we just get rid of religion, everything's going to go great. And oops, we started getting rid of religion and it didn't go any way we thought it was going to go. And so I think you're going to lose some of the hostility. And I mean, at the end of the day, we pointed out before, Christians, atheists, Jews, even, get ready to laugh, AP, minority Muslim sects, Hindus,
I'm
Buddhists.
laughing because you said laugh.
We're all on the same side of this issue. Namely, you've got a bunch of guys that want to violently subjugate us or slaughter us. And so, I don't know. It's if I'm in a burning building with an atheist, a Hindu, that is not a time to, I disagree with you.
I will unite with anyone who's against child marriage.
Yeah. And I've pointed out before, look, if I agree with you on something, then I agree with you. It doesn't matter if I disagree with you on other things. If I agree with you on this, then okay, I agree with you. Yeah. And we agree that we got some problems. We got some problems with Islam. Danny says, Allah expands. What's wrong with people? Allah expands the wide leather straps of the universe so that the pen pal is satisfied with the vastness of space. Allah is mighty. He's combining it with some, I don't know if you caught it, IP, but Jordan Peterson solved the Middle East problem by saying, hey, get a Jewish pen pal, eh? Thought he was actually
that'll
solving
fix it all.
Yeah, that'll solve it. Woo, sweet. Tanzil said, ex-Muslim, thanks to the three of you.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice. Glad to hear it.
Good to see.
Appreciate that.
I'm not going to read this one.
Yeah.
Quit being terrible.
Well, on that note, I need to take off. All right. Well, good night, everyone.
See what you did, Giovanni?
Man.
No, you can take off if you need to.
All right. Yeah, I'll talk to you guys. I might see you next week, David. I don't know if you're coming into San Antonio or not.
Oh yeah, I am.
Right,
yeah, I'll see you there. Me and John McCrae coming to town.
All right. Well, maybe we'll do a stream or something.
Yep. Yeah, we can. That'd be cool.
All right.
Hey, matter of fact, since everyone will be there, we can get a bunch of other people there jumping in.
Yeah, let me talk to someone about that. Yeah, sure do that.
All right.
Awesome.
All right, dude.
Cool.
Yep. See you next week.
See ya, IP.
All right. Charlie says, God bless, David. Came across your name from Nabil's videos. Yep. AP, you're also a genius. What? AP? What?
Go read a book.
Liar!
What is that?
You're a liar. The guy's a liar for saying that you're a genius. You're a genius. I never thought I would enjoy learning about Islam. You make it bearable. Please make another cartoon video, AP. You get that request a bunch. Praying for you all. Just put up the fundraiser, man. Just put up the fundraiser. We can all share the fundraiser. You'll have full funding to make your cartoon video.
I would rather do a fundraiser instead of a fundraiser.
Oh, darn. We got a powerful response here from Christoph. But what about the scientific miracle of the 7 ozone layers holding the Earth up by the leather strap? slaps. Yeah. See, I don't know why the Muslim guy didn't bring that up.
Yeah, he should have.
Bro needs to lay off the hashish and or hookah. Hey, I was in Queens one day. My kids went to school in Queens. We lived in the Bronx, but my kids went to school in Queens, and sometimes I would walk around. And I walked up, and there was this pita shop called Pita Pan, right? Pita Pan, and right beside it, the place was called Hookah Lounge. And I was sitting there thinking, like, what are you, stupid? You've got Pita Pan. How do you not call the place right beside it Captain Hookah? How do you not call it that? I mean, it's so awesome. It's probably even owned by the same. Like, how do you got Pita Pan and Hookah Lounge next door? Come on, man.
That's a good idea. You should get into giving places names like that.
Yeah, I'd be good at it. I'd be better than Hookah Lounge. The heck, Captain Hookah. When you go to, I would have to go to a place called Captain Hookah.
I would avoid it at all costs.
Ayo, Mike, do you like Mexican food? Too bad he's gone. The world may never know. Giovanni says, although I may find out because I'll be seeing him next week, so I'll offer him some Mexican and ask him. Giovanni here says, all I can think about when I hear that argument is the line from Year One, what the village shaman says, since the great turtle climbed out of the ocean and pooped out the mountains. Let's see. Loaves of bread. How does Sunan Abu Dawud 203 mean I need to perform ablutions before bed? No, it's after you wake up. Inconsistent is linked to dementia, diabetes, or spinal cord injury. No, I mean, here's the thing. Here's the criticism. Saying, hey, you don't know, especially if you're old, you don't know if something's going to slip out of your rear end while you're, especially if you got Dihya al-Kalbi coming over all the time, and then you're claiming, oh, that's actually the angel Gabriel who's sneaking out of my room tonight. If you got Dihya al-Kalbi, who's the hottest dude in Arabia, and you got him sneaking out of your room all the time, I mean, you don't know what's going to slip out of you in the middle of the night, and so wash up later. Wash up when you wake up. It's a perfectly reasonable point to make. He just can't say, hey, wash up after you wake up because you don't know if something slipped out of your rear end. He has to say, the eyes are the leather strap of the anus. And this is the same guy who brags about his supernatural eloquence confirming his revelations.
What is your problem? Beautiful words, man.
Hey, what is this? There is no impression. There's no impression.
Am I still moving on your screen?
No. Why? What are you talking about?
Am I frozen?
No. Yeah, you're moving.
No, my computer just froze up completely. I can't move or do anything. So this is very fun.
Yeah, no one cares. I mean, you're fine here. I'll tell you if things start sucking.
All right.
AP. I don't even understand this one. There is no impression of D Wood. D Wood is a completely neutral type of figure. But AP, grant us your best impersonation of David.
I can't do that.
See,
I can't do impressions unless they are very, very special, like Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, you gotta have like something that's different about you that you can then imitate, right? Like Jordan Peterson. Or Mom, hey, be strong than you. Go and shower.
All I can do is just repeat words that you say very frequently, such as notice, or or did you catch that?
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah. Carl says snapping straps of the anus cause earthquakes. No, here's what's crazy. The Quran could have said that, and Muslims would be defending it as a scientific miracle. Could have said that.
It is beautiful. Yeah. It is beautiful.
Random OK says the sun doesn't rise in the Middle East without another Jewish conspiracy theory rising along with it. Yeah, see those pretty regularly. Have you been seeing them? I'm sure you have. Have you been seeing? I've been seeing over and over again that this was all the IDF. They did it. They were shooting their own people and so on.
Especially today. Somebody started spreading this misinformation, which is why I spent hours just sitting here, putting stuff together, refuting that, and all of that. I've been a little bit obsessive about that ever since. But earlier, this one account, Syrian Girl, which is one of the main pro-Assad misinformation agents on Twitter started spreading this whole thing. Like she posted, breaking: Israel admits that the IDF, are burned and shot their own citizens. And then she makes up a quote that doesn't exist, links to a website that is not a reliable website, which links to a major far left conspiracy website, which then shows a video that was published by the IDF themselves on October 9th, which shows them engaging with Hamas terrorists.
Mm-hmm.
But they take that footage and say, look, this is proof. This shows the IDF shooting their own citizens. And now and that tweet currently has over 10 million views and had like 90,000 likes. People believe it because this is like anti-Israel propaganda, very popular with Muslims, very popular with the leftists right now, very popular with the Jew-hating conspiracy theorists, and they buy all of this. There's so much misinformation and garbage around. It's incredible. It's really incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible. And notice if you train and condition people for years to accept any sort of nonsense that somehow confirms something they believe, then they'll just keep accepting it. And if it's complete nonsense, and they just don't seem to care. It's pretty wild stuff. William says, David, do you think you left out a word? No, Saint John Damascene from Damascus in the year 700 wrote about the beginning of Islam. Ishmaelites are called great historical document. Yeah, and he's actually our earliest source for what certain things in the Quran mean, like the understanding of Surah 4, verse 157, that this is talking about someone being substituted in the place of Jesus. The Quran doesn't actually say it just says, so it was made to appear to them that Jesus was crucified. It doesn't say anything about someone else being, Allah disguising someone else and replacing him with someone else. Our earliest reference for that is this guy. It's actually a Christian pointing it out. So there's even a question like, is he attacking the Quran based on his own interpretation? And then Muslims started defending that interpretation because he was attacking it. So anyway, there are interesting things. But yeah, I mean, what's interesting is, I mean, that's a long time ago, and he still gives some of the best responses to some of the issues within Islam. AP, thoughts on hookah? Any unique thoughts?
Hookah?
You like hookah? Is that a thing in Turkey?
I used to. Yeah, when I was in Turkey, there were some times that I did engage in that, but it's like, I don't know. I still think if I had access to it now, I would occasionally like smoke it, but it's I don't know. I was a smoker back then, so it was kind of convenient. I'm no longer so.
I've smoked hookah like 3 or 4 times. No, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I've smoked hookah 4 times. I remember all 4 times. 2 of them were with some students when I was teaching English as a second language. They were Muslim students. Once with me and Nabil were hanging out with some of the Muslim guys in London, and then once when I was in Israel. Yeah, it actually made me a little, because I don't use any nicotine, so it actually made me like kind of stoned. I mean, it's just nicotine, so it's basically like, it'd be like smoking a cigarette. If you haven't smoked a cigarette, you get a little rush of nicotine.
Yeah, it makes you lightheaded and stuff. It's actually, it's a very enjoyable social.
Yeah, it's very smooth. And it's very, you're sitting around with someone. But yeah, you can, and it's not harsh like cigarettes. It's like smooth. It's like you can breathe it in. It's like, it's not nearly as harsh as a cigar or a cigarette or something like that.
Yeah. I'm thinking of getting some.
Alhamdulillah for this brother presenting the haqq of wiping with 3 stones. This has made my iman stronger. This guy's always making the bulldozer says, make a rap song, but its mouth sounds so it's halal. Oh yeah, rap song, because you can't have a beat. So just beatboxing. Yeah, that's what these guys should do. He said make mouth sounds. You can just say beatbox, just beatbox, right? Right? You could do that. Just no actual instruments.
Hey, I'm gonna restart my computer quickly and be right back. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Wait, no, don't do that. We're almost done. We're going to cut off. Unless
I can't do anything on my computer. I can't do anything. It's like
you don't need to do anything except show your pretty face to everyone. because we're almost done. I'm going to zoom through these last ones. I'm Jewish and read Quran 1 star, poorly written, would not recommend. Also, I was born and raised in Tucson, and I also lived in Charleston, West Virginia. All right, well, we are homies there because I grew up in West Virginia. Nice. Calvin says, hello from Tucson. Thanks for the awesome stream. Francis says, get a pen pal. Get a pen pal. God bless you three.
There's a goal.
Logan says, swim because Allah allows them. Oh, how swift Allah is to let these things swim by his hand. Jesus is king. Yes, indeed. I can't, it's too small on my screen to see what you're putting up there. Simeon says, all the survivors say the attack on the USS Liberty was deliberate. So does the chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff, Thomas, moderate CIA? Oh, my goodness. So these are guys
who cares?
Oh. Yes, in 1967. In 1967, the USS Liberty. You see, the Jews are trying to start a war with the United States, their biggest protector.
This is what they go to. Something that happened like half a century ago.
Yeah. Yeah. My goodness. I mean, in the U.S., didn't the U.S. blow up a Chinese embassy and so on? I mean, can you imagine 50 years down the road? Oh, you see, the United States is trying to declare war.
Did you know what some elements of the U.S. did around the world? Did you know what all kinds of countries, all kinds of militaries did around the world, which happened a long time ago? Why would you would never apply the same standard to any other country?
Yeah. Yeah, the idea that Jews were secretly trying to just kill a bunch of Americans. Come on.
So stupid.
It's absolutely moronic. Dude, it is absolutely moronic. Stop embarrassing yourself with that insanely idiotic nonsense. Cedric says, is there any video proving Jews claim Ezra as the son? I'd actually be interested in that. I've never seen one defense. The only thing I've ever seen from Muslim apologists when this issue is brought up is they will say, well, perhaps the Quran is just responding to one person. Like there was one guy who said Ezra is the son of Allah. I've seen that. I've seen Shabir Ali, I believe, say that. I think that's in Tabari because it had already become an issue by the time of Tabari. What are you talking about with the Jews? They don't say that. What are you talking about? And I think it was Tabari who said, I haven't been through this issue in a long time, but I think it was Tabari who said, well, maybe it's just referred to one guy. And it's like, wait a minute. One, you got two problems. One, the Quran is saying the Jews, and this is the justification for subjugating the Jews in the same way you have to subjugate the Christians. It's the same verse that says Christians say that the Messiah is the son of Allah and Jews say Ezra is the son of Allah. It's the same verse. So it says, it's putting us in the same category. We both say that someone is the son of Allah. But the follow-up problem is in the Hadith, Muhammad said, this is going to be the accusation of the Jews against the Jews on Judgment Day. Why did you worship Ezra? Yes. That's the general criticism of Jews on Judgment Day. Why'd you worship Ezra? Makes zero, find me a Jew who worships Ezra.
The Jews will then say, we never did such a thing. Liar, you did it. I know
you did it. You did it. Did it. Alhamdulillah. Wow. Do Muslims blow their nose 3 times after a nap because Satan sleeps in their nose? Yeah, Muhammad says, Satan stays in the upper part of your nose, so better do that.
And who knows what else Satan does if he does that.
The eyes of the leather strap of the blank is the closest Islamists can come to scientific proof, knowing Muhammad probably crapped his pants while he slept.
Man.
How do you guys feel about Nabi Asli's channel 3D animations of Islamic stories? Pretty accurate and informative for me. I have seen some animations. I don't know if we're talking about the same channel. You've seen some of those.
Yeah, it's more like
animations. They're not cartoons. They're like animations.
Yeah,
like it's been programmed to say this stuff. I don't know if that's the same channel you're talking about, but yeah, some of those are good. And again, I mean, lots of times you just have to give the story. You just have to give the hadith or whatever.
I'm going to start the fundraiser for the whole Prophet Tales. Okay, I'm going to do it.
Prophet Tales. I'm going to do a voice for it next time, though. I want to do a voice. I want to do pick a character so I can do the voice.
Inshallah, you will. You will do Ali Dawah. I'm going to.
Awesome! Yes. Francis says he kicked a Jew. Favorite verse 65:4. Yes, that is Daniel. He'll kick a Jew. Favorite favorite verse. All these PDF files, apologists need to repent. And AP, I pray for you and your family too. God bless us all. It is amazing that we sit here and these guys can just get away with promoting child marriage their entire careers.
Yeah. Well, that's their activism. That's what they like.
VP says, Allah surely cursed Amber Heard's leather straps. I guess because she pooped in the bed. I get it. I get it. I get it. Logan says the entire world wants AP to make another cartoon. So you got some feedback there, AP. Entire world wants you. I've said it before. We need just a full-time animator to just be cranking out every stupid idea we come up with, because we come up with stupid ideas way faster than we can ever.
All the time.
Yeah, all the time. If we just had someone sitting beside us, and then every time we're like, "Oh man, just came up with an idea," you get on it. Be destroying some stuff. Giovanni says, "Doctor says you have cancer. You are going to die." Muslim, aha! No, Allah is only making it appear so. Yeah, that is the ongoing problem, and there have been Muslim scholars over the years. I think it was Al-Razi who recognized the problem with saying that Allah just tricked everyone. He's saying, if that's true, then we can't trust our own senses. And so why would Allah make it so that we can't trust our own senses? We wouldn't know what to believe ever. And so,
and to me, the big problem is, according to that logic, according to the Quran itself, it is Allah who. So Christians are disbelievers. Christians fall for a lie, right? And it is Allah Himself who caused that lie to happen, to emerge. It was like he deceived everyone. Then you have to conclude that Allah deliberately, creates this illusion, this deception, by which He then creates the largest false religion in the world, whose adherents, according to the Quran, will go to hell and stay there forever, which is just ridiculous. I don't know.
It's pretty bad. Yeah. Oh, hang on, AP. Hang on. You got the last super chat here. It's going to correct and destroy us. Simeon says, the USS Liberty vets care. Are they lying too? Lying about what? The Israeli Air Force said we mistook it. We thought it was an Egyptian ship. How would a USS Liberty vet have any clue what's happening? Dude, get a freaking life. Stop embarrassing yourself. You sound like an idiot. I mean, think about the real meaning here. Guys, way back in 1967, before you were born, during the 6-Day War, the Israelis bombed the USS Liberty. They said they mistook it for an Egyptian ship, but really, they were trying to kill as many Americans as possible, and that's why you need to hate all the Jews now and declare war on the Jews. Dude, you sound like a freaking idiot. Just say you hate Jews and you're looking for anything to help other people hate Jews too.
These are usually the same people who bring up these things like, why do you never talk about the Talmud? And then they bring these memes which show these Talmud quotes that are completely fake.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Simeon. Oh, and tell your hero, Nick Fuentes, we really thank him for that input. Thank you. All right. Do you know what we're talking about tomorrow on your channel? Are we going live on your channel tomorrow? We just decided earlier this week. We're like, hey, we got a lot to catch up on. There's so much stuff bombarding us constantly. We're like, hey, let's just go live. Let's just go live a bunch and kind of get through it.
We are supposed to talk about Douglas Murray and his interview with Piers Morgan.
Oh yeah. I only watched a couple minutes of it. It was awesome, but yeah, and I heard he schooled him on a bunch of stuff.
Yes.
But yeah. But I started watching it, and Piers Morgan is doing that same. And what about the issue of proportionality? I don't know what the response was because I stopped it there. But what planet is this dude from? Proportionality. Oh man. Yeah, you do have in Just War Theory the idea of proportionality. They're not talking about like an even number. They're saying, okay, if someone just looks wrong at you, don't bomb them to nothing or something like that. It's got to be comparable, and you have to be working towards a goal that actually makes sense of how you're attacked. But that is generally, if someone has attacked you, that's generally making sure they can't attack you again. Yeah. And so, anyway, I have no idea. I don't know. I mean, Pierce seems too smart to be using that same stupid argument that comes from a lot of, I mean, it's the Dawah guys who are using it.
I think he's just trying to, to both sides, he's trying to be devil's advocate, and he asks the one side about, what about proportionality? And then the other side he asks, so what do you think is the appropriate response that Israel should have been giving? So
anyway, it looks like tomorrow we will be on AEP's channel going through that. Should be awesome, because that's a good combo right there, and really impressed by Douglas Murray. Powerful stuff. All right, one more thing we have from Giovanni, who's stepping in to defend Simeon. But you see, the Jews, they wear a funny little hat. How can you not hate them? Good response. I have to say, Giovanni, you actually made a better case than Simeon did about the USS Liberty.
That's true. That's true. Respect. I respect that.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And again, if you see any of our Muslim TikTok friends who want to come over here and explain some of their arguments to people who will sit here with them, looking up, going through the passages carefully, checking out the commentaries to make sure no one's being tricked, happy to have them join us. In the meantime, we can only conclude what we've always concluded.
Ain't gonna follow no child molester, sex offender, private pretender. Ain't gonna follow no child molester.
Islam's not for me. Islam's not for me.
Islam.